Chapter 94. A major restructuring at the E-Province base. How did it go? Xianjing inquired as he observed Tang Xie returning. Just as Big Brother mentioned. They dispatched 30 individuals to various bases. Tang Xie replied with a smile as she took her seat. Did they capture all of them? Xianyu asked eagerly. Not a single one escaped. They were all intercepted by Xiao Zong and the mutated beasts, tied up like Zongzi, and are currently awaiting release in the office building for the next 2 days, Tang Xie chuckled. Indeed. One does not shed tears until seeing the coffin. Sister, what are your plans? Xianyu questioned, her frustration palpable. First, we must secure the crystal cores. If we destroy this place now, it would only serve to benefit them, Tang Xie retorted coldly. Those who dare to covet the Ziyuan base have forfeited their right to exist. I had initially considered allowing them to continue providing a sanctuary for the survivors at the E-Province base, but I never anticipated their audacity to target the Ziyuan base. Xian Shui remarked with a sneer. However, if the E-Province base were to vanish, many would be left homeless, and countless lives would be lost. Perhaps we should replace the base leader? Xianjing suggested, his military ethos compelling him to care for the safety of the populace, even at the cost of his own life. I figured you would say that, Xian Shui replied, shaking her head in resignation. Very well, let Big Brother make the selection. But the condition is that they must not oppose the Ziyuan base. Otherwise, the E-Province base has no reason to exist. Even if it means the demise of all its inhabitants, it would be of no concern to me, Tang Xie asserted. Agreed, Xianjing nodded, already contemplating a candidate. 2 days later. Base leader, how are things progressing? Have there been any responses from the other bases? Deputy Base Leader Chen asked anxiously. None. Are you certain everyone has been dispatched? Base Leader Wang questioned, his worry evident. Everyone has been sent. I witnessed their departure, Deputy Base Leader Chen affirmed. What shall we do now? We can only hand over the crystal cores to them. We must resolve the immediate crisis first, Base Leader Wang sighed. Base Leader, an observer rushed in. What is it? Base Leader Wang asked, displeased. Miss Tang has inquired if the crystal cores are ready. If they cannot be moved, she is willing to come and retrieve them herself. The observer relayed hastily. Damn Tang Xie. Base Leader Wang sprang to his feet. Let us go? Is Base Leader Wang ready? Tang Xie smiled as she watched him emerge. Ready, Base Leader Wang waved, and an ability user stepped out of the base, producing over 100 bags of second-level crystal cores and placing them on the ground. I trust in the integrity of Base Leader Wang, so I will not even check, Tang Xie remarked with a smile and with a wave of her hand. Hundreds of bags of crystal cores vanished in an instant, leaving Base Leader Wang seething with frustration. Can Miss Tang withdraw her forces now? Base Leader Wang inquired with a forced smile. Not yet. Tang Xie shook her finger. What? Does Miss Tang intend to take the money without fulfilling her end of the bargain? Base Leader Wang's expression darkened. Not at all. I honor my commitments. Unlike some, who profess readiness with crystal cores while secretly contacting other bases to besiege the Ziyuan base, Tang Xie glared at them coldly. That is unfounded. Do not slander us. Miss Tang, Base Leader Wang's complexion shifted upon hearing her words. Oh, then who are they? Tang Xie gestured. A chorus of agonized screams erupted as 30 martial eagles appeared in the sky, each clutching a person. These 30 individuals were members of the elite ability user team from the E-Province base. Your base leader claimed that no one was dispatched to other bases. It seems you do not belong to the E-Province base after all, daring to lie. Tang Xie addressed the 30 individuals. No. Base leader, please save us. The 30 ability users, having been tortured over the past 2 days, pleaded desperately at Base Leader Wang. Base Leader Wang contemplated his response, but Tang Xie interjected, otherwise, I shall command them to release their grip, and with a crash, they will be reduced to pulp. She mimicked the act in a naive tone. Yet it resonated as chillingly terrifying to the onlookers, particularly the 30 individuals suspended in the air, who were now weeping and begging for mercy. No. That is my son. Please spare him. An elderly woman suddenly emerged, kneeling and crying out, as others followed suit to identify the individuals in the sky. It seems there is no need for Base Leader Wang to speak. Tang Xie smiled, observing him. Tang Xie, what do you intend to do? Base Leader Wang, realizing the situation could not be resolved amicably, glared at her in anger. Quite simply, I offer you a choice. First, allow the E-Province base to accompany you in your demise. Second, you, Deputy Base Leader Chen, and the individuals on the list must leave the E-Province base. Tang Xie extended 2 fingers. Do you think the E-Province base is easy to bully? Base Leader Wang was utterly enraged. Indeed, it is quite easy to bully. Tang Xie nodded earnestly. You, Base Leader Wang seethed at her. Prepare all ability users. Today, I shall witness what the Ziyuan base can do to my E-Province base. Since you have made your choice, do not blame me for being ungracious. Tang Xie waved her hand. With a roar, Xiaobai bellowed. And all mutated beasts rose in unison, advancing toward the E province base, while Xianjing and Xuanxue led the army of zombies in the same direction. Wait. A middle-aged man arrived at the city wall with a group of soldiers, shouting, Wei Chong, what are you doing? Base leader Wang glared at the newcomer. Base leader, we cannot allow your selfishness to endanger the base. By unanimous agreement, we are expelling you from the base, Wei Chong stated, casting a disdainful glance at base leader Wang. He had long harbored disdain for base leader Wang, who, despite the apocalypse, continued to wield authority without regard for others' opinions. Had it not been for the true veterans fighting for the people, the E province base would have perished long ago. Are you inciting rebellion? Base leader Wang was taken aback by the collective decision to sacrifice him, if it means protecting the people and providing them with a better life. What does it matter if we are deemed rebels? Wei Chong asserted firmly. Arrest Wei Chong. Base leader Wang ordered, but no one moved. Are you deaf? Arrest Wei Chong at once. Base leader Wang roared in fury. Arrest base leader Wang and deputy base leader Chun, and throw them out with Ji Yuan and the others. Wei Chong commanded. Understood. The soldiers surrounding them immediately advanced to apprehend the two. Who gave you the audacity? I am the base leader. You dare to lay a hand on me. Do you wish to be expelled from the base? Base leader Wang struggled against them. General Wei, do not be hasty in throwing them out. Tang Xie waved her hand, and the 30 martial eagles released the 30 terrified individuals. What further instructions do you have? Miss Tang? Wei Chong inquired, puzzled. He had previously been Xuanjing's most trusted subordinate. When Xianjing had been taken by the mutated plants and asked him to take over the E province base, he had been genuinely shocked, believing that the Ziyuan base would simply annex them. Although they had invested immense effort into the E province base, if they could offer the people a better life, they would willingly join the Ziyuan base. Your brother has been missing for a month, has he not? Tang Xie gazed at him. How does the young lady know? Do you know where he is? Wei Chong asked, excitement flooding his voice. He and his brother had relied on each other throughout the apocalypse. And with his brother's sudden disappearance a month ago, he had been frantic with worry. Deputy Base Leader Chun, there is a secret laboratory that only his fingerprint can unlock. I will have Xiaohua take you there. Tang Xie extended her hand, revealing a small white flower. What does this mean? Wei Chong froze, a sense of foreboding creeping over him. Your interpretation is indeed accurate. You should go now. Perhaps you can see your brother one last time. Tang Xie learned from the mutated plants at the base that Deputy Base Chief Chun was conducting human experiments, specifically on high-level supernatural beings from the E province base, including Wei Chong's brother. Chapter 95. Do you have any misunderstandings about fragility? I never expected that Deputy Base Chief Chun would be so perverse as to experiment on the supernatural beings from his own base. Xianyu was astonished when Tang Xie informed them that this Deputy Base Chief specifically targeted the strongest supernatural beings in the base, capturing them during missions to conduct various inhumane experiments. This is quite normal, especially in this lawless apocalypse where human desires are magnified exponentially, sighed Xianjing. Our base will never allow such occurrences, and I will always protect you from harm. Lung Hanming, noticing Tang Xie's somber mood, immediately took her hand, earnestly assuring her with deep affection in his eyes. Yes, I believe in you, big brother. Tang Xie smiled as she tightened her grip on Lung Hanming's hand. No, sister. How can you turn such a serious topic into a display of affection? Please spare us single folks from this torture, Xinyu protested in exasperation. The protest fell on deaf ears as Tang Xie ignored him entirely. So, is Big Brother planning to return with us to the Ziyuan base? Or are we heading directly to C Province to establish the zombie kingdom? Tang Xie turned to Xianjing. We will go to C Province first and establish the zombie kingdom, Xianjing replied nonchalantly. Then I will inform my brother and head over to assist you. Tang Xie nodded. Very well, Xianjing acknowledged, understanding that while he could control the zombies, he was truly powerless against the mutated plants in C Province. I imagine Hualoli will be in tears when she learns you are going to C Province, Xianxue laughed. Indeed, without knowing when you will return. Zimo will certainly not remain obedient at the Ziyuan base, Xianjing concurred. I believe Hualoli will eventually adapt, Tang Xie said with a smile. I am certain Hualoli does not desire such an adaptation, Xianyu remarked gleefully. Do not revel in her misfortune. This time my brother and I, along with Big Brother, will leave, and you cannot accompany us. You will stay with father and manage the entire Ziyuan base alongside Hualoli, Tang Xie said, casting a calm gaze at Xianyu, making him instantly lose his smile. Why? Xianyu protested. Because you are neither a zombie king nor a high-level supernatural being. And you cannot even defeat the subordinates of your elder brothers. Are you planning to deliver yourself to the zombie kingdom? Tang Xie shot him a glare. Fine. Xian Yu sulked. Though he was unreliable, he was self-aware. Just as everyone reached an agreement, they arrived at the Ziyuan base. Tang Xie, Leng Hanming, and Xian Yu exited the vehicle, while Xian Shui drove towards C Province. Where? As Tang Xie turned around, she was enveloped in a strong embrace. Brother. She returned the hug. Why have you been gone for so many days? I was worried sick. Yi Zimo buried his head in Tang Xie's shoulder, expressing a hint of grievance. So many days? Xian Yu was taken aback. Have I lost my memory? It has only been 4 days. You should be quiet. Xian Mu said, smacking Xian Yu on the head, wondering how she ended up with such a foolish son. There was a minor incident that caused the delay. Tang Xie explained with a smile. What minor incident? Were you injured? Yi Zimo immediately released Tang Xie, concerned. Rather than worry about Xie's safety, you should be more concerned about whether the person responsible for the incident is still alive. Hua Luoli could not tolerate Yi Zimo's sudden lapse in intelligence upon encountering Tang Xie, not to mention Tang Xie's own abilities to fight against thousands, considering that Leng Hanming, the Reaper, was also present that day, along with 2 zombie kings and millions of zombies, and with Xiao Bai and Xiao Zong leading tens of thousands of mutated animals. There was no need to fret over Tang Xie's safety, right? I'm fine, brother. Tang Xie smiled, taking Yi Zimo's hand. I mean, considering how fragile I am. Isn't it only natural for you to worry about me? What? You fragile? Xian Yu looked at Tang Xie in disbelief. Xie, do you have a misunderstanding about the term fragility? Hua Luoli remarked earnestly. Do I have a misunderstanding? Tang Xie turned to look at Yi Zimo and Leng Hanming beside her. No, my sister is indeed so fragile that she cannot take care of herself. Yi Zimo said indulgently. Exactly. You can be even more fragile. Both I and Mo can handle everything without you lifting a finger. Leng Hanming nodded in agreement, recalling how heart-wrenching it was to see his sister's delicate figure rushing to the front lines during times of danger. What about eating? Are you going to feed her too? Xian Yu rolled his eyes at them. Only if Yuer is willing. Yi Zimo and Leng Hanming gazed at Tang Xie with deep affection simultaneously. Goodness, I should have refrained from asking. Xian Yu slapped himself in exasperation. Why do you insist on putting yourself through this and seeking affection? Hua Luoli shook her head in sympathy. Let us go inside. I've prepared your favorite food. Xian Mu approached, attempting to pull Tang Xie, only to find there were no spare hands available, so she relented. I knew mother loves me the most. Tang Xie immediately broke free from Yi Zimo and Leng Hanming's hold, taking Xian Mu's hand with a smile. Of course, mother loves you the most. Xian Mu beamed, feeling delighted. Her precious daughter was so considerate, while Yi Zimo and Leng Hanming looked at their empty hands, chuckling and shaking their heads. A week later, I will go to C Province with my brother and big brother, and at that time, the Ziyuan base will be entrusted to you all. After finishing her meal, Tang Xie sat on the sofa, observing everyone. You truly intend to establish the zombie kingdom? Hua Luoli looked at Tang Xie with a headache. News of Brother Xian and Brother Heir Xian being the zombie kings has already caused unrest in the base. If you proceed to establish the zombie kingdom, it will surely destabilize the morale. Tomorrow, I will hold a conference where I will announce this matter and assure everyone that those who choose to stay will be safe from the zombies, while those who wish to leave are free to do so, Tang Xie said calmly. Very well, I will notify them. Hua Luoli nodded. Have you not considered the possibility of opposition or even attacks from other bases? Xian Fu expressed his concerns. I have thought about it. I will remain at the base for a week to await inquiries from the other bases. Tang Xie nodded. Have you thought about how to resolve it? Xian Fu asked, frowning. I have ways to communicate with them effectively. Do not worry. Tang Xie smiled innocently, causing those who knew her to silently mourn for the other bases. That's good. It's understandable that the zombie kingdom may be difficult for the average person to accept. Xian Fu nodded, while everyone looked at him with a sense of pride for having such a well-behaved daughter. Today is Wednesday. The next morning, Yi Zimo looked at her with anticipation. Yes, what about Wednesday? Tang Xie pondered. There was nothing particularly special about today. You promised. Yi Zimo looked at her with disappointment. Huh, what did I promise? Tang Xie stared at the obviously aggrieved Yi Zimo, wondering who could tell her how he suddenly became so upset. Chapter 96. The most handsome man is the serious one. You said you would go on dates with me on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Yi Zimo looked at her with a pitiful expression. Oh, that, I haven't forgotten. Tang Xie smiled, nestling into Yi Zimo's embrace. Today, I will accompany my brother to the office. How about you come to see how he works? Wouldn't that be boring? If not, let Hua Luoli handle the affairs, and my brother can accompany you wherever you wish to go. Yi Zimo was reluctant to have Tang Xie accompany him in handling those tedious tasks. Not at all. People often say that a man who works diligently is the most handsome. I believe my brother is even more so. I could watch him all day, Tang Xie said with a smile. Indeed, brother will surely become the most handsome man in my eyes. Yi Zimo nodded, glancing at Hua Loli, who sighed, relieved that he no longer had to urge the base leader to work, although he found it somewhat frivolous for the base leader to be so love-struck. At least work was being done, wasn't it? But in reality, what would you like to eat, Moon? Shall I have Luoli buy something for you? Yi Zimo looked tenderly at Tang Xie sitting beside him. Brother, I ate so much this morning that I'm not hungry now and don't want anything. Tang Xie shook her head. Then what would you like to drink? Shall I pour you something? Yi Zimo, who had just begun working, inquired as he sat beside Tang Xie. I would like some milk tea. Tang Xie thought for a moment and replied. All right, brother will make you some milk tea. Yi Zimo immediately got up, took out the tools for making milk tea, and started to prepare it for Tang Xie. If you want to eat or drink anything else, just tell brother, all right? Yi Zimo placed the prepared milk tea in front of Tang Xie. Okay, thank you, brother. Tang Xie nodded at the tablet. Brother is here. Why are you staring at that? Yi Zimo said, turning Tang Xie's head to face him, displeased. All right, thank you, brother. Tang Xie cupped Yi Zimo's face and kissed his lips. Good. Brother, go back to work, okay? All right, brother will get back to work. Yi Zimo cheerfully returned to his tasks. However, less than an hour later, he leaned back towards Tang Xie, looking pitiful as he asked, Moon, what are you watching? Why aren't you looking at brother? A drama, brother. You still have work to finish, Tang Xie replied, glancing at the pile of documents on the table that showed little progress. Those are so dull. I only want to look at you, Yi Zimo said softly and hoarsely, wrapping his arms around Tang Xie's waist. Brother, you're being quite clingy today. Tang Xie turned to face Yi Zimo, feeling helpless. Hua Luoli, who had been happy to see Yi Zimo so motivated at work, would likely cry if he saw the unproductive documents on the table. It's all your fault for enticing me. Yi Zimo gazed tenderly at Tang Xie. How could I possibly? Tang Xie felt wronged. Since her arrival, she had been sitting quietly on the sofa watching dramas, making sure not to distract Yi Zimo. Don't you know that just being in front of me is the greatest temptation? Yi Zimo leaned closer to Tang Xie, lifting her onto his lap. Then what does brother want? Tang Xie asked with a smile. What I want, Moon, you should know, right? Yi Zimo's heated gaze swept gently over Tang Xie's face, landing on her alluring red lips. I'm not you, how would I know? Tang Xie suddenly felt a bit parched and couldn't help but lick her lips with her tongue. Then brother will tell you now what he desires most. Yi Zimo's expression darkened as he gently pressed his lips against Tang Xie's, losing control and somewhat roughly gripping the back of her neck, exploring everything within her mouth. Their lips and tongues intertwined, their breaths rising like molten lava, an unstoppable force, akin to a sweet torrent that swept their souls into a fervent ocean of passion, melting and merging together. Just as Yi Zimo was increasingly losing control and began to lower the kiss, base leader, you. Hua Luoli burst through the door, freezing at the sight of the two embracing on the sofa. Yi Zimo immediately reacted, pulling the blushing and dazed Tang Xie back into his embrace. Can't you knock before entering? Yi Zimo glared at Hua Luoli in anger. Sorry. Hua Luoli quickly turned to leave, cursing under his breath. He was so accustomed to barging in that he had forgotten that the young lady was accompanying the base leader to work today, unaware that he had interrupted a moment of intimacy, which would lead to a rather unpleasant situation for him later on. It's all your fault. Tang Xie snapped back to reality and punched Yi Zimo's chest, feeling utterly embarrassed. All right, it's my fault. Entirely my fault. Yi Zimo chuckled, soothing his little one. Get back to work. Tang Xie firmly pushed Yi Zimo away. But brother wants to accompany my Moon. I don't want to work. Yi Zimo looked at her with a pitiful expression. Is one kiss not enough? If you don't finish today's work, I want to let you kiss me. Tang Xie said sternly. If I finish, will Moon let me kiss her freely? Yi Zimo's eyes sparkled with excitement. Dream on. Get to work. Or you want to get a single kiss. Tang Xie shot him a red-faced glare before turning back to the drama. Yi Zimo immediately complied, knowing she meant what she said. If he didn't finish, he would miss out on the rewards, which would be quite tragic. Moon. Yi Zimo finally tossed his pen aside and leaned closer to Tang Xie. Have you finished your work? Tang Xie turned to him. Yes. All done. Yi Zimo nodded with a smile. What shall we eat for lunch? It's up to brother, Tang Xie replied after a moment of thought. All right. The food at the base isn't very good. I'll cook for you. And then after our meeting in the afternoon, we can go for a walk. Yi Zimo suggested after contemplating. Sounds good, Tang Xie nodded. Compared to other bases, the food at Zhuhan base was already much better. Thanks to her efforts in blending the soil from their space with the real world, their base had started producing ordinary vegetables. And they had also raised quite a few mutated chickens, ducks, and geese. However, The taste was still far inferior to what her brother cooked, which is why she preferred dining at home with him. So, your favorite pig-esque trotter rice, seafood soup, and garlic prawns. Yi Zimo placed the prepared dishes on the table. Thank you, brother. Tang Xie sat at the table and reached for the soup. Don't move. What do you think you're doing? Yi Zimo grabbed her hand. Every time, you're always doing this and that for me. I just wanted to serve you a bowl of soup. Tang Xie looked at him innocently. Serve what? What if you burn yourself? Yi Zimo pulled Tang Xie to sit down in her chair. Sit still. With brother here, you don't need to do anything. He placed the food in front of Tang Xie and filled a bowl with soup. Aren't you afraid of spoiling me? Tang Xie was truly speechless at their limitless pampering. Spoiling you is good. Then other men want to be able to handle it. And you want to be able to leave us. Yi Zimo replied nonchalantly with a laugh. Chapter 97. I want everyone to know you are mine. Are we going in now? Hua Luoli, overhearing the affectionate words from inside, asked Pei Yushue beside him. If they went in now, they would likely be subjecting themselves to a dose of dog food. Let us not go in. You handle the matters outside. Pei Yushue replied calmly. Then let us go in. Hua Luoli decided wisely this time and knocked on the door. Come in. Yi Zimo, with both hands peeling a prawn for Tang Xie, looked over at them. What is up? Tang Xie took a bite of the pig-esque trotter rice, then sampled the lobster meat Yi Zimo had fed her, followed by a sip of soup. Many ability users know about the meeting this afternoon to announce the establishment of a zombie kingdom, and they're downstairs demanding an explanation. They said they want to cooperate with the zombies, and if the zombie kingdom is truly established, they will leave Xiuhan base. Pei Yushue observed Tang Xie, who was munching happily, a glimmer of amusement and warmth flashing in her eyes. Inform them that they are free to leave at any time. Our Xiuhan base will not retain any of them. We will also document their information, and should they wish to return in the future, our Xiuhan base will unequivocally refuse them. Tang Xie spoke calmly, mentioning that the weather would soon drop to -70 or 80 degrees Celsius. The Xiuhan base has already prepared winter supplies, but who knows about the other bases? Very well, Pei Yushue nodded. Have them leave behind all the specific distress signals for our base. We do not want them expecting our assistance in times of danger, Yi Zimo stated flatly. Understood. Pei Yushue turned and departed. Do you have any further matters? Yi Zimo asked, casting an irritated glance at the still-standing Hua Luoli. Hehe, base leader. I haven't had lunch yet. Look at all this food you can't possibly finish. May I join you for a meal? Hua Luoli, who had been busy since noon preparing for the afternoon meeting, felt her stomach rumble at the delicious aroma of the dishes. If you want to eat, go to the cafeteria. Yi Zimo's expression darkened instantly. This was a heartfelt lunch he had prepared for his sister, and as a grown man, he had no need for such indulgences. How stingy, Hua Luoli sighed, turning to leave. Uft. Your brother's stingy demeanor is quite adorable, Tang Xie chuckled, observing Yi Zimo. Oh, stingy brother? Yi Zimo shot a dangerous glance at Tang Xie. Indeed, quite stingy, but I like it. Tang Xie quickly pressed a kiss to Yi Zimo's lips. I like it too, Yi Zimo replied, swiftly feeding her a peeled shrimp as he pulled her in for a kiss, their lips entangled as he offered her the delicacy. How I despise that we live in an apocalyptic world, Yi Zimo murmured softly after breaking the kiss. Tang Xie gazed at him in confusion, her eyes glistening with moisture, the corners slightly reddened as if she had been wronged, causing Yi Zimo to stiffen, his body responding involuntarily. Damn it! Yi Zimo cursed under his breath, pulling Tang Xie into his embrace and kissing her fiercely once more. I wish to see you weeping beneath me, Yi Zimo whispered, kissing her neck, leaving a trail of red marks as his hands involuntarily roamed beneath her clothing, caressing her waist. We have matters to attend to this afternoon. Do not leave marks. Tang Xie evaded his kisses. What of it? I want everyone to know you are mine, Yi Zimo declared, leaving a hickey on her collarbone, which stood out vividly against her fair skin. That Pei Yushue fellow may have seen it. Tang Xie softly protested before pushing him away. I don't mind the embarrassment. You shouldn't either. No more marks, she added, imagining herself with a neck full of hickeys. Facing curious glances from others, she felt the urge to strike someone. Fine, I too do not wish for such an alluring you to be seen by others, Yi Zimo said, disappointment flickering in his gaze as he swallowed hard, glancing at the marks on her neck. Base leader, miss, everyone is gathered. We may commence the meeting, Hua Luoli announced, knocking on the door. All right, Tang Xie replied, setting down her tablet and rising. Let us go, Yi Zimo said, stepping beside Tang Xie, straightening her slightly disheveled attire before leading her outside. Is it true that the Xian family's eldest and second sons are zombie kings? An A-level ability user inquired. Indeed, it is true. Moreover, They have taken all the zombies to establish a zombie kingdom in the neighboring C province. B-level ability user confirmed with a nod. My goodness. We are working alongside zombie kings. How dangerous. The base did not inform us in advance. They must give us an explanation today, an A-level ability user exclaimed angrily. Yes. We must be given an explanation. Several other ability users nodded in agreement. Do you have the audacity to demand an explanation? When the Xian brothers protected you, did you express your gratitude? What of the zombies? They have not harmed anyone, another ability user retorted. We are part of the Zhuhan base. Their protection is expected. Yet they are zombie kings. Just because they do not eat humans now, can you guarantee they will not in the future? B-level ability user argued furiously. Exactly. Since they have become zombies, they should be eliminated. The base's protection of the zombie kings warrants an explanation, an A-level ability user shouted indignantly. With a series of sharp sounds, the instigators demanding an explanation were flung away by black vines. My brothers protecting you is their duty. Those who have become zombie kings should be slain. Who do you think you are? Tang Xie appeared on the second floor, coldly regarding the crowd. The pressure emanating from her level 13 abilities was palpable, leaving many gasping for breath. Luo Li, record the information of those individuals. Expel them and their families from the Zhuhan base, never to be allowed entry again, Yi Zimo ordered coldly. Understood. Hua Luoli immediately signaled to several elite ability users, who proceeded to drag the moaning individuals away toward the base's exit. You cannot treat us this way. You are the ones harboring the zombie kings. They shouted in defiance. Silence. Yi Zimo's frosty gaze fell upon them, and his mental force struck directly at their minds. Ah! They screamed, collapsing unconscious, blood oozing from their facial features. Firstly, the Zhuhan base was established by my brother and my friends to provide a refuge for all of you. Thus we have the right to expel anyone. However, no one else has the right to demand our departure, Tang Xie stated, her pressure receding as she coldly surveyed the ability users below. Secondly, my elder brother and second brother were once human, having protected all of you. It was the deputy base leader of E province's schemes that led to their injuries and transformation into zombies. Advanced zombie kings can survive without consuming human flesh. Their long stay at the base without harming anyone proves this. Their establishment of the zombie kingdom aims to manage advanced zombies and prevent further incidents. Therefore, the zombie kingdom will undoubtedly be formed, and our Zhuhan base will ally with it. You are welcome to remain in the Zhuhan base, if you do not wish to. You may register over there and leave immediately. Chapter 98. The sound of the Swana signals either a wedding or a soul's departure. Those who remain may return to rest, while those leaving should register over there. Consider carefully. This time, leaving means the Zhuhan base will forever deny your reentry, Yi Zimo stated coldly. The crowd exchanged glances, and several pre-discussed ability users took their families to register, while a significant portion without hesitation returned home to rest. These were the individuals whom Tang Xie had rescued, along with others who had received favors from Xianjing or Xianshui. Miss, a little over half of the ordinary individuals have left, and half of the ability users have departed, Hua Luoli reported after tallying the numbers in Yi Zimo's office. This is better than expected, Tang Xie nodded. What shall we do next? Pei Yuxue inquired, knitting her brows. We shall wait for other bases to seek trouble, Tang Xie replied with a smile. Xie, it is said that the T province base has allied with several others to attack the Zhuhan base. Do you have any preparations? Xianfu asked, concern etched on his face. Indeed, with half of our base's ability users gone, few remain to confront them, Xianmu nodded. Father, mother, do not worry. I assure you that before they even reach the Zhuhan base, they will have already suffered significant losses, Tang Xie stated confidently with a smile. The following day, what are you thinking about? Long Hanming approached Tang Xie, who was gazing out from the balcony, wrapping his arms around her waist from behind. Nothing much. Just feeling that today's weather is considerably cooler than usual, Tang Xie shook her head. Is the extreme cold weather you mentioned approaching? Long Hanming inquired. Having sensed it as well. Tang Xie nodded. Given the current number of individuals remaining in the base, the supplies we have prepared for the winter are sufficient. Are you worried about Big Brother and the others? Ling Hanming pondered for a moment before asking. This heavy snowfall will elevate all the zombies to a higher level. I am not concerned about Big Brother. I am merely contemplating the extent to which my abilities may develop after this snowfall. Tang Xie has been fixated on achieving level 15 to acquire the Niluan Jihua from Hell, intending to lead her family onto the path of cultivation. You are already quite powerful. Do not push yourself too hard. Ling Hanming gently stroked Tang Xie's hair. Indeed, Tang Xie nodded. When suddenly a colossal sound of collapse echoed from afar. It seems a prey has arrived at our doorstep, Yazimo remarked with a smile as he approached. Let us go take a look, Tang Xie said, pulling him along. What has happened? Xuanmu, who was preparing breakfast, and Xuanfu, who was reading, hurried outside. Even the drowsy Xuanyu stumbled out in a daze. It is nothing. Prey has presented itself, and we are about to investigate, Tang Xie replied with a smile. Wait for me. I will join you. Xuanyu dashed back inside to change clothes. 10 kilometers outside the base, what is going on? The members of J Base, Y Base, T Base, and Yinyu Base, who had come to assault Ziyuehan Base, were perplexed as they gazed at the sudden appearance of a 10-meter deep pit. Peering into the pit, dozens of ability users were howling amidst the inverted thorns, whose spikes measured half a meter in length, thick, sharp, and covered in smaller barbs. The ability users who fell into the pit were pierced through the shoulders, arms, thighs, and calves by these spikes. Though not fatal, the pain was unbearable. Help! Quickly help! Shouted a leader of a base. The ability users from various bases employed all their skills to rescue those trapped, and after bandaging their wounds, they counted and found that before even reaching the gates of Ziyuehan Base, they had already lost 25 combatants. Boom! The ground suddenly shook violently, and countless thorns reached out to fill the pit. Guests from afar have arrived. How delightful! I believe you will greatly enjoy the gifts I have prepared for you. A thorny plant proclaimed while holding a loudspeaker that broadcast Tang Xie's voice, infuriating the crowd. Tang Xie, the leaders of the bases gritted their teeth and cautiously advanced. And after nearly 10 meters without encountering any traps, they finally relaxed slightly. Suddenly, a harsh sound of swana filled the air. As the ancient saying goes, when the swana sounds, it is either a wedding or a soul's demise. Clearly, Tang Xie had prepared the latter for them. The sound of the swana carried the enchanting melody of sirens, causing the level 4 and 5 ability users to become entranced, unresponsive to the frantic calls of others. Damn it! The leader of J Base angrily struck a nearby tree, and in mere moments, over 30 more of their ability users lost their combat effectiveness. With a sudden swoosh, before the leader of J Base could react, a vine struck him fiercely, sending him flying onto the thorn-covered path once again. Ah! He screamed in agony. What is happening? The others immediately huddled together, focusing their minds to resist the sound of the swana while remaining vigilant against any mutated plants. However, as the swana ceased, no further attacks from mutated plants occurred, and upon counting their numbers, they realized they had lost nearly half of their combat strength. Shall we continue onward? Wang Yuyan asked with a frown. During the previous battle, she had discarded Li Xingye under the pretense of his injury from a mutated rat. Returning to the base, she had swiftly claimed control of Xingye Base, renaming it Yinyu Base. This time, she had agreed to join forces with other bases to assault Ziyuehan Base, having heard of its abundant resources and its successful cultivation of various fruits and vegetables. Although they had developed methods as well, their yields were significantly lower than those of Ziyuehan Base. If this assault succeeded, not only would they acquire the bountiful supplies of Ziyuehan Base, but they would also gain access to their research achievements. Yet, she did not wish to suffer losses without gaining anything in return. I refuse to believe that. We are now left with ability users ranging from level 7 to 9. Let us press on and see what tricks Tang Xie has left, the leader of Y Base declared angrily, and the others exchanged glances, nodding in agreement as they cautiously advanced. Ah! The beautiful melody of song resounded, causing the crowd to pause and look ahead, where a group of stunningly beautiful women frolicked among the flowers, laughing, dancing, and playfully teasing one another. Their breathtaking beauty captivated even the female ability users who had come to assault Ziyuehan Base. Come join us. The enchanting women beckoned to Wang Yuyan and the others with alluring smiles, causing them to swallow hard. Come here. One of the dancing women twirled, letting her sheer veil fall away, revealing her enticingly smooth shoulders, with her chest partially concealed, further accentuated by her seductive movements. Chapter 99. Brother, be gentle. Come. Several of the dancing women shed their veils, and the men could no longer resist the urge to approach. Roar. Suddenly, all the stunning women opened their mouths wide and let out a terrifying scream. Their once enchanting faces morphed into dark, scaly visages. Their captivating eyes turned into frightening serpentine orbs, and their mouths split grotesquely to their ears, their alluring forms cloaked in scales, while their legs transformed into tails covered in decaying flesh and maggots. The crowd immediately panicked and turned to flee. But several leaders were already too close to the monsters and were swiftly captured. Their fingers transformed into sharp claws, and as the monsters bit into them, they yanked their heads back, tearing away chunks of flesh. The captives cried out in anguish, prompting the others to run even faster. though the monsters lacked legs. They moved with incredible speed, and cries of despair echoed behind them. When the survivors finally regained their composure, they discovered that only a little over 100 of them remained. Dear guests, do not flee. At Zhuehan Base, we warmly welcome you. Ahead, we have prepared various surprises just for you. A vine emerged from the ground, holding a loudspeaker that relayed Tang Xie's voice. Terrified, the crowd turned to flee. Having already suffered significant losses among their higher-level ability users, would they still have their lives if they pressed on? A bunch of cowards, Xuanyu scoffed. Would you like to try your luck? Tang Xie smiled at him. No, I am a coward as well. Xuanyu immediately shook his head. Even though he was aware of their true forms, witnessing a group of celestial beauties suddenly transform into terrifying monsters took him by surprise. If he had been there in person, he would have surely been mortified. Luoli, arrange for the remaining individuals they did not take and instruct the mutated beasts to escort them back. Also, for those barely clinging to life, send a message. My sirens and thorns have stated that the meat they sent this time is too old and the blood too foul. Next time, select younger and more tender offerings, Tang Xie said indifferently. Understood. Hualoli turned and left to carry out the arrangements. The following day, a number of bases set out to attack the Zhuehan base. Suddenly, the sky was filled with numerous birds, dropping half-dead ability users, among whom over 100 were gasping for breath, their bodies marred with deep, visible bite wounds, creating a scene of utter horror. Each base had a martial eagle circling above, clutching a loudspeaker and broadcasting Tang Xie's words, inciting fury among the bases, nearly driving them to madness. Observing the dire fate of their peers, other bases promptly abandoned any thoughts of assaulting the Zhuehan base. Having resolved the situation, Tang Xie stretched lazily. Where do you wish to go next? Asked Lung Hanming gently, pouring her a cup of milk. I would like to explore the surroundings for any remaining supplies. Tang Xie replied after a moment's thought. Very well, I shall accompany you. Lung Hanming nodded. I wish to join as well. Xianyu chimed in enthusiastically. Enough. Stay put. Xianmu shot, Xianyu a glare. Behave yourself at the base. In a few days, I will be heading to my elder brother's place. And you must learn how to manage the base properly, Tang Xie stated sternly. All right, Xianyu sulked. Today, let us venture to Province V. It is a bit farther away, and there may still be resources to uncover, Tang Xie said while studying a map. As Lung Hanming drove, he glanced at the map in her hands. Moon, it would be more appropriate to hold the map the other way, he remarked with a smile. Huh, am I holding it incorrectly? Tang Xie was taken aback. Indeed. However, it is not you who has it wrong. Rather, the map is upside down, Lung Hanming said gently. Brother, when did you become so smooth-tongued? Tang Xie looked at him in surprise. What, do you not like it? Lung Hanming asked, astonished, for he had dedicated considerable time to studying romance novels in her absence. Compared to smooth talk, I prefer it when my dear brother remains silent, Tang Xie said. Reaching out to caress his ear, her fingers gradually gliding down to his strong nose, soft lips, alluring Adam's apple, sturdy chest, and enticing abs. Suddenly, a screech of brakes pierced the air as Lung Hanming seized her hand from his abs. Moon, you are playing with fire, he said, his voice thick with a husky undertone. I am merely touching. Tang Xie leaned closer, gazing innocently at him. How could there be no reaction to the touch of a beloved girl? I am not Lu Xiaohui, Lung Hanming replied, his eyes burning with intensity. But I too have a reaction to such a brother. What shall you do about that? Tang Xie lightly kissed him, her voice low and seductive. I shall satisfy you, Lung Hanming proclaimed, pulling Tang Xie into his embrace and kissing her deeply. Their lips entwined fervently, breaths growing heavier, as Lung Hanming, losing control, tore open her collar. Kissing downward. When he spotted the kiss mark left by Yizimo, he paused momentarily before kissing her with even greater fervor. Ah, brother, be gentle. Tang Xie pushed him away in discomfort. All right, I shall be gentle, he responded, leaving a strawberry mark on her collarbone, perfectly aligning with the one left by Yizimo. Though they both acknowledged each other's existence, it did not mean they were free from jealousy. Tang Xie felt a wave of pleasure wash over her, collapsing against Lung Hanming. He turned, reclining the car seat, pinning her beneath him. Wait. Tang Xie snapped back to reality, sinking into the seat. Do not worry, I shall not move. Just a kiss, he assured her, leaning down to capture her lips once more. An hour later, Tang Xie lay languidly on the bed, her body feeling utterly drained. She had come to understand the saying that a man's words can be deceiving. His promise of not moving was merely a euphemism for not taking it to the final step. Everything else was fair game, leaving her utterly exhausted. Looking at her body covered in strawberry marks, she felt quite speechless. Are you hungry? "We are nearing Province V," Lung Hanming said after parking the vehicle. He returned to the camper, cradling Tang Xie and offering her a few sips of water. "You still have the gall to ask," Tang Xie glared at him, her voice gravelly. "I apologize, dear sister. Do not be angry, all right?" Lung Hanming spoke soothingly, aware he had pushed her too far today. "Get up, I need to change," Tang Xie insisted, nudging him. If they lingered any longer, they would have no chance of returning today. "I shall assist you in changing," he said, retrieving a set of women's clothing from his space. "Absolutely not." She clutched the blanket tightly. "Are you sure?" he asked, concern etched on his face. "Absolutely not." She shook her head resolutely. "If you lack strength, just call for your brother," he said, placing the clothes aside to prepare her favorite snacks, allowing her to finally change into her attire. Suddenly, a cacophony of loud thuds erupted. "What is that sound?" Tang Xie asked, bewildered. "It is locusts," Lung Hanming replied, observing the creatures incessantly battering against the car windows. Mutated locusts. Their appearance is truly unappealing, Tang Xie noted as she watched the locusts, which had grown more than twice their original size, sporting 2 fangs, oozing repulsive slime, with tattered wings and eyes glowing a menacing red. Scattered bones littered the roadside, indicating that these mutated locusts had transitioned from herbivorous insects to carnivorous predators. "We must eradicate these mutated locusts, otherwise they will devour the food here and migrate elsewhere. This place is not far from our base, and it would spell trouble," Tang Xie said, frowning, as more locusts converged on the camper. She enveloped it in a layer of lightning. The crackling sounds echoed as countless locusts turned to ashes, falling from the vehicle, while Lung Hanming pressed the accelerator, propelling the camper toward Province V. As they ventured deeper, the number of scattered bones increased. The sound of the tires crushing them was unpleasant, even though they were merely remnants of zombies, devoured by the mutated locusts. While driving, Lung Hanming released wind abilities through the window, shaping them into a spiraling vortex that swept up locust after locust. Tang Xie infused her lightning abilities into the cyclone, the friction igniting massive explosions, sending locusts spiraling into chaos, reducing them to clouds of black ash. Employing the same strategy, Tang Xie and Lung Hanming continued to detonate the mutated locusts along their path, countless of them disintegrating into ashes until they reached a particularly dense area teeming with locusts. "This must be the locust's nest," Tang Xie, though not suffering from a fear of density, felt goosebumps rise as she gazed at the swarm, her brow furrowing in discomfort. "If you find it distressing, do not look. Leave it to me," Lung Hanming said, pulling her close to shield her eyes, his gaze radiating a chilling resolve. The vortex transformed into a tornado, laced with countless ice blades aimed directly at the locust's lair. In an instant, the mutated locusts encountered the ice blades, becoming frozen sculptures, only to be mercilessly shredded by the ensuing tornado. Within 2 minutes, every last one of the mutated locusts was utterly obliterated. "It is done," Lung Hanming released her, gently kissing her forehead. "Are you still feeling unwell? There is nothing to worry about. It is merely the overwhelming swarm of locusts that is truly unbearable. Compared to them, I would much rather confront a horde of zombies." Tang Xie shook her head, noting that at least zombies are larger in stature. "Let us continue on," she said. "Ahead lie several large supermarkets. Although there may not be much food left, there should still be clothing available." Lung Hanming returned to the driver's seat and drove towards the large supermarket. It seemed that the zombies in this area had been entirely consumed by the mutated locusts, for not a single one was in sight. Observing her surroundings, Tang Xie remarked, "There are still some clothes here, let us gather them." Lung Hanming proceeded to enter various clothing stores, collecting all the garments within, while Tang Xie scavenged for useful items in the storerooms. Suddenly, a figure darted toward Tang Xie, but she swiftly evaded it. The zombie moved with astonishing speed, reappearing before them and lunging once more at Tang Xie. With a cold smile, she enveloped herself in a layer of black flames. The mutated zombie let out a pained roar before hastily retreating, its grayish claws singed. It was a level 10 speed mutated zombie. Tang Xie observed that it had regained a semblance of human form, although its grayish skin and protruding claws still betrayed its true nature. The level 10 speed mutated zombie was astonished to find that among humans, there existed beings stronger than itself. "Kill it. Even if we were to send it to my brothers, it is not the type of zombie that would repent." Lung Hanming regarded the level 10 mutated zombie, which emanated a chaotic aura, elements of humanity, mutated beasts, and fellow zombies intertwined. Notably, upon realizing that Tang Xie surpassed it in level, the zombie's eyes glimmered with a frenzied desire for violence, indicating that even in its human form, it was not a virtuous character. "What a delectable soul," The mutated zombie extended its elongated, crimson tongue to lick its lips, gazing at Tang Xia with excitement. That depends on whether you possess the fortune to consume it. Lung Hanming's gaze turned icy as he hurled a wind blade, but the mutated zombie nimbly dodged, leaving only an afterimage in its wake. Dare to compete with me in speed? Lung Hanming uttered a chilling laugh as he rapidly pursued the mutated zombie, gradually matching its velocity, thus exposing its movements. Their speeds were so swift that it was impossible to distinguish their forms. Only two shadows could be seen darting around at high speed. Tang Xia, growing weary of the chase, seated herself on the ground to enjoy the spectacle of the pursuit between man and beast. I've caught you. Lung Hanming's voice resonated with a lethal intent. As the mutated zombie landed, it revealed itself, only to be met with a glinting blade and an exceptionally sharp wind blade. A fleeting expression of terror crossed its dark eyes before its head was severed, split in two by the wind blade. Well done, big brother, Tang Xia exclaimed joyfully, hopping over to plant a kiss on his lips. In an instant, Lung Hanming's expression darkened, recalling the fervor from the vehicle. He seized Tang Xia, pressing her against the wall and kissing her passionately. Tang Xia's eyes widened in shock, unable to comprehend why such a simple kiss stirred such fervor within him. Stop, she exclaimed, sensing his hands slipping beneath her clothing, and decisively pushed him away. Xia? Lung Hanming panted, gazing at her with a mix of longing and frustration. We are here to collect supplies. Can you refrain from being so impulsive? Tang Xia rolled her eyes at him. Ever since I met you, I can hardly restrain myself. He replied innocently. And you were the one who made the first move. Is it your lack of self-restraint that you blame on me? Now let us gather supplies, she urged, pushing him away toward another store. Chapter 101. Brother, what shall we do about the jealousy from Big Brother? As soon as Tang Xia exited the vehicle, Yi Zimo rushed over and embraced her tightly. Why are you back so late? Did something happen? I encountered mutated locusts and disposed of them. Tang Xia replied with a nod. Are you all right? You weren't injured, were you? Xianmu immediately pulled Tang Xia close, concern etched on her face. No, how could I be hurt? Tang Xia chuckled. There are no crops left to consume. Those locusts are quite formidable. Xianyu expressed astonishment. Do you think the locusts are still herbivorous like before? Tang Xia shot him a look. What else could they be? Xianyu was momentarily taken aback. They consume human flesh, zombies, mutated plants, and mutated animals. They have diversified their diet. Lung Hanming interjected coolly. Wow, have mutated animals become so terrifying? Xianyu was astonished that even herbivorous creatures had changed their ways. In this apocalypse, what is there to find strange? Xia must be tired. Let us return home for her to rest, and I shall prepare a meal for her, Xianmu said tenderly, guiding Tang Xia inside. Our precious daughter, taken away and raised as an orphan for many years, has suffered greatly. Now that we have found her, she must endure this apocalypse, struggling for survival without ever enjoying a peaceful life. All right, I shall take a bath and come down shortly, Tang Xia replied, nodding as she headed to her room. Mo. Inform everyone that all supernatural beings must eliminate any mutated locusts they encounter without leaving a single one behind, Lung Hanming commanded, seated on the sofa as he looked at Yi Zimo. Understood, Yi Zimo nodded in agreement. Are mutated locusts truly that strong? Xianyu inquired curiously. Upon arriving in Province V, we encountered only one level 10 speed mutated zombie. All else were merely bones, human, animal, and zombie alike. That level 10 zombie, had it not been for its incredible speed and high level, would have surely become one of those bones. Lung Hanming recounted the situation in Province V. Now there are level 10 zombies? It truly becomes increasingly difficult for humanity to survive. To my knowledge, aside from our Ziyuan base, the best supernatural beings in other bases have only reached level 9, Xian Fu remarked with a frown. Level 10 zombies are still relatively rare. By the way, what was done with that level 10 zombie? Is it being sent to the zombie kingdom that my brothers are establishing? Xianyu asked, confident that a level 10 zombie would be immensely powerful in aiding them. It was killed, Lung Hanming replied coldly. Huh. Xianyu was taken aback. Any being that poses a threat to Xia, whether human or zombie, does not deserve to live, Lung Hanming stated resolutely. You are impressive, Xianyu gave a thumbs up, amazed that he could even receive a bite of dog food from this. Mother, father, Xiaoyu, I have decided to set off for my brother's place tomorrow. I leave the base in your capable hands, Tang Xia announced suddenly at dinner. Why the rush? Xian Fu was taken aback. The temperature has dropped rapidly these past few days. I suspect the extreme cold weather from my dreams is approaching. I fear that if I delay, unforeseen events may transpire. Tang Xia pondered aloud. Dreams? The Xian family was momentarily silent, while Yi Zimo recounted Tang Xie's premonitions about the apocalypse before it occurred. Wow, sister, you are incredible. Xian Yu gazed at Tang Xie in disbelief. Did you not dream of reuniting with us in your visions? Xian Mu inquired with curiosity. No, in my dream. I died shortly after the apocalypse began, witnessing everything in a spiritual form. Tang Xie shook her head, plunging the room into silence. Xie, I am so sorry. It was our fault for finding you too late. Xian Mu wept, grateful that it was merely a dream and that they had found her in reality. It's nothing, mother. It was merely a dream. Tang Xie gently reassured Xian Mu while patting her back. However, in the eyes of Yi Zimo and Leng Hanming, a flicker of coldness and heartache passed through. They understood that it was no mere dream, but rather an ordeal their younger sister had personally endured. Moon, are you asleep? Yi Zimo knocked on the door. What's wrong, brother? Tang Xie opened the door, momentarily stunned to see Yi Zimo and Leng Hanming standing at the entrance. May we come in? Yi Zimo asked softly. Of course. Tang Xie stepped aside, allowing them to enter the room. Moon, in our past life, we failed to protect you, leading to your tragic demise. Will you hold that against us? Yi Zimo asked, gripping Tang Xie's hand with regret. My death in the previous life has nothing to do with you. It was my own folly. Why would I blame you? Tang Xie paused, catching a whiff of the alcohol on their breath, and sighed helplessly. You didn't go out drinking just because of my past death, did you? If we had always been by your side, it wouldn't have happened. Leng Hanming's eyes shimmered with sorrow. Fool. In my previous life, I was kicked in the head by a donkey, consumed by thoughts of scoundrels, which left you both heartbroken. And despite Wang Yuyin showing you kindness, you remained steadfastly loyal and alone for a lifetime because of my death. Tang Xie felt a pang of sorrow for them. If it weren't for her, perhaps they would have had their own happy families. Wait, did we actually have feelings for other women? And that woman was indirectly responsible for your death? Yi Zimo asked incredulously. Tang Xie sensed she had misspoken. You know that some women naturally exude a protagonist aura, making them quite captivating. It's only natural. She thought for a moment before explaining. I truly believe we were despicable in our past life. Leng Hanming lamented, wishing he could travel back and eliminate their former selves. Well, I was already dead in my previous life. Isn't it normal for you to like someone else? Tang Xie was baffled by the notion of their past transgressions. But that woman indirectly caused your demise. Shouldn't we have dealt with her? Yet you ended up liking her afterwards. Yi Zimo and Leng Hanming shared the same sentiment. Upon discovering that Wang Yuyin had indirectly led to Tang Xie's death amidst a horde of zombies, their first impulse was to eliminate her and the man who had seduced their sister. That's because Wang Yuyin was truly exceptional in our past life, Tang Xie explained. Though it felt odd to her, wasn't it akin to them criticizing themselves? Moon, do you think the us from our past life was better? Yi Zimo observed Tang Xie's reluctance to speak ill of their former selves. Tang Xie, hearing the discontent in Yi Zimo's tone, felt perplexed. Aren't you all the same person? Not at all. You are all wonderful, Tang Xie replied, feeling that further clarification would be tedious. Although she found it rather absurd. Their self-recrimination was quite amusing. But you have been consistently defending our past selves, Leng Hanming expressed his displeasure. Because I believe the brothers from my past life were not at fault, Tang Xie innocently stated, wondering what to do with her boyfriend's jealousy. But they shouldn't have developed feelings for that woman, Yi Zimo asserted firmly. All right, they shouldn't have liked Wang Yuyin. They were despicable, Tang Xie conceded, unwilling to argue the rights and wrongs of her past brothers versus her present ones, as it was becoming too convoluted for her. Upon hearing her words, Yi Zimo and Leng Hanming drooped, resembling two sorrowful puppies. Tang Xie swore she could almost see ears sprouting from their heads, which transformed into airplane ears, while their tails drooped behind them. Chapter 103. Journey to the Zombie Kingdom. Moon, have you arrived? Xian Jing and Xian Shui hurried downstairs upon hearing their subordinate's message. Brother, you all work quite fast. It's already looking quite presentable, Tang Xie remarked with a smile at the tidy building. Since this is our home now, we must tidy up quickly. Xian Shui led them further into the building. How was your journey? Did you encounter any troubles? Xian Jing inquired. What troubles could we possibly have? Tang Xie shook her head. Moreover, your subordinates managed the zombies well and did not attack us. How many level 9 and level 10 zombies are there now? Yi Zimo asked. There are 180 level 9s and 89 level 10s, Xian Jing reported. Have them gather in the conference room. I have something to discuss, Tang Xie instructed the two. Understood. Xian Jing quickly went to summon them. Within half an hour, all the zombie kings had gathered in the conference room. I am Tang Xie, and I believe you have all heard of my name. She greeted the assembly with a smile. The purpose of establishing the zombie kingdom is to provide everyone with a chance to live like normal humans. no longer needing to consume people to sustain your energy. You can enjoy delicious food like normal people and be protected by our zombie kingdom from human hunters. Tang Xia explained, observing their reactions. However, this is contingent upon your absolute loyalty to my elder brother and second brother, the zombie emperor. And you must not abuse your zombie powers to harm humans. If you agree, I will inscribe a contract seal within you. Should you harbor any thoughts of betrayal or actively harm humans, you will meet a fatal end. The zombie kings were initially ecstatic at the prospect, but hesitation spread among them upon hearing about the contract seal. Who knows whether that seal might be harmful to us? If we level up rapidly and surpass your two brothers, will you kill us to enhance their abilities using our cores? One man protested vehemently. Do you believe I couldn't simply kill you right now and take your core to strengthen them? Tang Xia smiled at him, causing the man to instantly fall silent. Those who disagree may leave now. We will not force you to stay. But should we encounter you again, we will not hesitate to kill you, Tang Xia declared sweetly, causing the zombie kings to gulp nervously and retreat. They had heard rumors that this adorable woman, who always appeared youthful, could unleash a killing spree with a mere smile. I am willing, a woman stepped forward. I am also willing, another seemingly simple-minded man followed suit. With their support, others began to step forward until only 12 level 10 zombies remained unwilling. You may leave, Tang Xia said to them. The 12 level 10 zombies exchanged glances before turning to depart, while Tang Xia formed a seal and inscribed the contract within the remaining zombie kings. This seal will pose no danger as long as you do not harbor betrayal in your hearts or actively harm humans. Additionally, if your identities are discovered and you find yourselves in danger, it will transport you to my space, ensuring your survival, Tang Xia explained calmly. Upon hearing this, the zombie kings rejoiced. The seal indicated that unless Tang Xia intended to kill them, no one else could harm them. This is the spiritual water I have developed. Drinking it will eradicate any desire to consume humans. Tang Xia presented a vial of concentrated spiritual water to the zombie kings. Thank you, Miss Tang. The zombie kings cheered. They had once been ordinary people, many of whom had served in the military during their lives, and they did not wish to consume humans. But the cravings were difficult to suppress. Go home now, Tang Xia nodded, and the zombie kings turned to leave. You must be tired, Xia. Go rest for a while. Xian Shui observed Tang Xia's fatigue with a smile. All right, Tang Xia nodded. She had hardly slept last night and felt quite weary. I took you to rest. Ye Zimo reached out and picked up Tang Xia, following Xuan Xue as they departed. I went to prepare some food for you. Leng Hanming glanced at Xuanjing. Where's the kitchen? Follow me, Xuanjing replied, leading Leng Hanming towards the kitchen. These 3 rooms are yours, Xuan Xue said as she guided Ye Zimo to the 3 rooms. Thank you, Ye Zimo replied, carrying Tang Xia into the central room, while Xuan Xue turned to leave. It seems you were indeed exhausted last night, Ye Zimo observed, gazing at the peacefully sleeping Tang Xia. He gently laid her on the bed and then reclined beside her. Sweet dreams, he whispered, placing a tender kiss on her lips before wrapping his arms around her and closing his eyes. Tang Xia opened her eyes and yawned. Awake? Ye Zimo smiled at her. Brother? Why are you on my bed? Tang Xia stared in surprise at Ye Zimo lying beside her. It was you who held onto my sleeve, preventing me from leaving. Ye Zimo teased, leaning closer with a smile. I did not. Don't say that. Tang Xia pushed him away. Look, Ye Zimo pointed to his right hand, and Tang Xia glanced over to find her hand clutching his sleeve tightly. You placed my hand there, she insisted, quickly releasing her grip and adamantly denying it. All right, then I must have placed your hand there myself, Ye Zimo said, affectionately smiling at the stubborn Tang Xia. Get up, Tang Xia urged, pushing at Ye Zimo, who rolled over and pinned her down. But I don't want to get up. Since you're awake, how about we do something exhilarating? I don't want to, Tang Xia protested, but her objection was swiftly silenced by Ye Zimo's kiss. You belong to me, he murmured, tugging at her clothing as he kissed her again. No, wait. Brother will come to call us soon. Tang Xia dodged away. But can you bear to see me suffer? Ye Zimo tightened his embrace, unable to resist the temptation. Why not go to the bathroom and take care of it yourself? Tang Xia suggested, hoping to avoid any further entanglement. But I only want your assistance, Ye Zimo replied in a husky voice, kissing her neck. I refuse, Tang Xia declared without hesitation. You are so cruel, Ye Zimo lamented, burying his face in her shoulder. Being merciful to you would be cruel to myself. You must get up, or you will be the one who suffers. Tang Xia ignored him, knowing that if she let him continue, she would be too weak when they went downstairs, and certainly, the astute Dage and Urge would notice something amiss, leading to inevitable reprimands. Chapter 104, The Sport Under the Sky. Very well, I shall make it up to you tonight. Yazimo lifted Tang Xie into his arms. I want to sleep alone tonight, she retorted, ignoring him. Then let us continue. Yazimo raised an eyebrow at her. How can you be like this? Tang Xie was taken aback to discover her brother could be so mischievous. Choose one. Yazimo leaned closer. Tonight, Tang Xie quickly shouted, fearing he would push her back onto the bed if she hesitated. That's more like it. Yazimo gently placed Tang Xie back on the bed, arranging her clothes before turning to leave with her. You err, does your spiritual water work on those ordinary zombies? Xuanjing asked as he sat at the table, watching Tang Xie being pampered by the two handsome men. Yes, it can restore a bit of human consciousness in them. But you must understand, brother, everything has its limits. The amount of spiritual spring water I have determines how long it takes to slowly replenish, and it is hardly enough for all the zombies. Moreover, I do not intend to save every zombie, Tang Xie explained, looking at him. The spiritual spring water is our ultimate trump card. With it, our abilities will always grow faster than others. I will not use my trump card to save unrelated individuals, even at your request. Dage, you are a commendable soldier, and we have nothing to argue about, but remember to act within your limits. If we turn all the zombies into zombie kings, once they have the opportunity to escape, it would spell disaster for humanity. Do you expect Yuer to place a contract mark on each of them? Neither Ming nor I will agree to that. Why should we expend Yuer's energy to save unrelated people? Yazimo spoke softly. All right, I understand, Xuanjing nodded, although somewhat disappointed. He recognized the validity of their stance. One must act within reason when it comes to saving others. Shall we go for a walk? Yazimo suggested after finishing his meal. Sure, Tang Xie nodded, standing up and taking Yazimo's hand as they walked out together. Aren't you coming? Xuan Xue asked Ling Hanming, who was sitting nearby. I won't. Today is for Ma, Ling Hanming replied, his gaze fixed on the book. Although he desired to join them, he worried that he might lose control, and the little one would not withstand it. You two have a schedule? Xuan Xue was taken aback. Yes. On Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays it's Ma. On Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays it's me. Sundays we spend together, Ling Hanming affirmed. Such a good arrangement, Xuan Xue praised with a thumbs up. Where are we going, brother? Tang Xie asked. Her eyes closed as Yazimo held her in his arms. We're almost there, Yazimo said as he carried her to the riverbank. You can open your eyes now, he gently instructed. Tang Xie opened her eyes, utterly astonished to find the riverbank adorned with blooming white roses, their fragrance wafting through the night, while ethereal fireflies danced in the air, reflecting upon the shimmering water. Truly a breathtaking and sacred sight. Isn't it beautiful? Yazimo asked tenderly. Tang Xie approached the roses. Do you like it? Yazimo followed her closely. Brother, aren't you curious? Tang Xie inquired. Curious about what? Yazimo was taken aback. This riverside is not suitable for roses to thrive, especially the delicate white ones. How could they flourish so abundantly? Tang Xie analyzed the roses, leaving Yazimo speechless. No. You err. With such a beautiful scene, shouldn't you be thinking of something else? Yazimo asked, perplexed by how his sister's focus always differed from others. Shouldn't you feel it's beautiful, romantic, and then be moved to initiate a kiss? What are you thinking about? Don't you find it strange? Tang Xie asked curiously. All right. Yazimo conceded, defeated. Still, brother, do you know why these white roses grow so abundantly? Tang Xie leaned closer, smiling. I. Yazimo hesitated, unsure of how to respond. Brother, where did you learn such a romantic approach? Come clean. Tang Xie playfully tugged at his collar. I read it in a book, Yazimo admitted honestly, revealing that he had intended to create a romantic surprise for her. Enlisting Xiao He to command the mutated white roses to grow into a grove, and having Xiao Bai gather mutated fireflies. I love it. Thank you, brother, Tang Xie exclaimed, wrapping her arms around Yazimo's neck and pulling him down for a kiss. Yazimo was momentarily stunned before responding, tightening his embrace around Tang Xie's waist and kissing her back passionately. Yuer, how about we not go back tonight? Yazimo softly kissed her hair. Tang Xie's eyes glimmered with a hint of red as she gazed at him dreamily. How about we try the feeling of being outdoors tonight? Yazimo's kisses trailed down from her forehead to her nose, then to her cheeks, finally landing on her lips. What? Tang Xie finally realized, questioning whether she had heard him correctly. Let us engage in a sport beneath the heavens, Yazimo declared, not waiting for her response as he waved his hand, conjuring a large bed on the ground and collapsing onto it with Tang Xie in his arms. No, wait, Tang Xie wished to protest, yet was restrained by Yazimo, who abruptly tore her clothing and discarded it onto the ground. Soon, the ground was strewn with disheveled garments, the air filled with the man's labored breaths and the woman's muffled protests, which lingered, causing even the roses nearby to shyly retract their blossoms and silently withdraw, while the radiant moon above coyly concealed itself behind clouds. The following day, under the glaring sunlight, Tang Xie awoke, momentarily disoriented upon seeing the distant lake and surrounding white roses. As memories of Yi Zimo's wildness from the previous night flooded back, she felt an overwhelming urge to find a hole to hide in. You're awake, Yi Zimo said as he approached her with freshly grilled fish. I need to change clothes, Tang Xie replied, retreating into her space to find a suitable outfit. To her dismay, they had indeed engaged in reckless behavior outdoors, surrounded by a swarm of mutated roses. These sentient plants, possessing the intellect of a 3- or 4-year-old child, had unwittingly witnessed their indiscretions, ultimately leading to a sense of humiliation. Covering her face, Tang Xie emerged from her space after a moment. Come, enjoy the grilled fish, Yi Zimo offered, noticing the lingering blush on her cheeks. What's this? Are you feeling shy, or have you been conjuring inappropriate images all morning? He teased with a wicked grin. How can you even say that? Tang Xie shot him an incredulous glance. What's wrong, brother? Yi Zimo asked, perplexed. Do you not realize that the mutated plants have gained sentience, akin to that of toddlers? Tang Xie inquired with exasperation. Not really, why? Yi Zimo responded, taken aback. That means we were observed by a bunch of children last night, she retorted angrily, taking a bite of the fish. Yi Zimo froze at her words, glancing at the white roses with a hint of embarrassment, contemplating how best to incinerate them. Chapter 105. Exhausted spiritual energy, falling into slumber. Xie, what do you need at this moment? Xianjing asked as he and Tang Xie, along with others, had spent a month's effort ensuring the surrounding zombies had entered the zombie kingdom. With a wave of her hand, Tang Xie summoned countless mandrake flowers to seal off all paths to the outside, creating what appeared to be a beautiful and mysterious city of mandrake flowers. Thus, any zombies wishing to depart must obtain your consent, otherwise, they shall not escape, Tang Xie stated matter-of-factly. Likewise, those outside must also secure your approval to enter. Excluding our family, of course. The problem is, I've heard that the Yinyu base has developed weapons against zombies. They may soon attempt to invade the zombie kingdom while it is still in its infancy, Xuanxue remarked with a furrowed brow. They are already moving swiftly. Tang Xie raised an eyebrow. In her past life, it was the female protagonist who had developed weapons to exterminate zombies. She had anticipated that in this life, the female protagonist would still make strides even without the male protagonist's support, albeit a tad later. If that is indeed the case, we shall face a formidable battle, Xianjing expressed, reluctant to see the newly normalized zombie kings fall so easily. As long as all the zombies within the zombie kingdom remain unharmed, there is no need to worry, Tang Xie assured, retrieving a collection of celestial-grade spirit stones from her cultivation world and placing them at various locations within the zombie kingdom. She then produced divine-grade spirit stones from her space and infused them into a hidden spot, forming hand seals as the surrounding spirit stones emitted a white light that ascended into the sky, eventually descending as a luminous shield enveloping the entire zombie kingdom. What is this? Xuanxue and Xianjing stared in astonishment as the transparent shield vanished, sensing the air around them altered slightly, yet significantly. Suddenly, Tang Xie spat out a mouthful of blood, startling everyone. Yuel, sister? The nearest Yi Zimo and Lung Hanming rushed to support her, anxiously observing her suddenly pallid complexion. I'm fine. My spiritual energy has simply been completely depleted. Brother, dear brother, now that you have formed a bond with me, you can freely access my space and enter it at will. I shall enter a period of slumber until my spiritual energy is restored, Tang Xie explained weakly. Gazing at them. All right, we shall stay with you, Yi Zimo replied, having never seen Tang Xie so frail since the apocalypse began, feeling an urgent concern. The Ziyuhin base still requires you, big brother, dear brother, as long as you remain within the zombie kingdom. Rest assured that even missiles will not pose a threat until your powers have grown. It is best not to venture outside, Tang Xie advised Xianjing and Xuanxue. Understood. They both nodded, their hearts heavy as they looked at her, feeling guilty for their lack of strength, relying on their sister for protection. Rest assured. I shall awaken within a month at most, Tang Xie reassured them with a smile before finally succumbing to the exhaustion, her eyes closing as she vanished. Yi Zimo and Lung Hanming followed her into the space, relieved to see her peacefully lying on the bed, absorbing the energy within the space. Their expressions hardened with intense killing intent as they recalled the Yinyu base, vowing to remember it. Is Xie all right? Xianjing and Xuanxue approached anxiously when Yi Zimo and Lung Hanming reemerged. She is fine. She has merely fallen into slumber, Yi Zimo replied coldly. But Xianjing and Xuanxue immediately sensed something was amiss. In their memories, Yi Zimo was always gentle and composed, while Leng Hanming, though silent, did not exude an air of coldness. However, that was no longer the case. Yi Zimo's gentleness and composure had vanished, replaced by an aura of agitation and ruthless intent. While Leng Hanming remained silent, yet radiated an icy demeanor, his presence suffused with a palpable sense of menace and bloodlust, reminiscent of a hellish reaper. It was evident that even before the apocalypse, he had likely taken many lives. Yet, when Tang Xie was present, they had suppressed these negative emotions, but now, with her exhausted spiritual energy leading her into slumber, they unleashed their pent-up fury, pain, and sorrow, no longer concealing the beasts within. Since the matters of the zombie kingdom are settled, Leng and I shall return. In a while, an extreme cold front will arrive, but there is no need for concern. According to Yuer, after the extreme cold passes, you will experience a new advancement, Yi Zimo stated calmly. Understood, Xianjing nodded. Train diligently. Do not allow other zombies to surpass you, lest you waste Yuer's efforts, Leng Hanming admonished coldly. Rest assured, we will not hinder our progress, Xuanxue pledged. Then we shall take our leave, Yi Zimo said, departing alongside Leng Hanming in their mobile unit. Upon returning to the Ziyuan base, the first announcement made by Yi Zimo and Leng Hanming was a permanent cessation of cooperation with the Yinyu base. When this news reached the Yinyu base, its leaders were left bewildered, hastily convening a meeting to investigate who had offended the Ziyuan base. Although they were popular among various bases for developing weapons against zombies, these weapons were only effective against zombies below level 7. They stood no chance against the zombie kings. Moreover, the Ziyuan base not only had the zombie kingdom as a formidable backing, but also boasted a level 14 ability user and the formidable Tang Xie among their ranks. They certainly did not wish to become the next obliterated base. In less than half a month, the anticipated extreme cold weather arrived, plunging temperatures from 4 to 5 degrees Celsius down to a chilling -80 degrees. The Ziyuan base, well prepared, suffered no losses, whereas other bases, unprepared, saw ordinary people freezing to death daily, including many low-level ability users, resulting in a sudden decline of over 1 million in the human population, placing humanity in its gravest crisis yet. Until a heavy snowfall descended, the temperature began to gradually rise. A month later, as spring blossomed, it was on this day of warmth that Tang Xie awakened. Base leader, here are the letters of thanks from several other bases. Expressing their gratitude for our assistance during this extreme cold, Hua Luoli said, placing over a dozen letters on Yi Zimo's desk. In this frigid weather, many bases sent out distress signals, and Yi Zimo had provided aid to several large bases, yet Yinyu base was not among them. Furthermore, those receiving assistance were prohibited from aiding Yinyu base in any form, exacerbating the already dire situation for Yinyu base, which was struggling for survival. Both ordinary people and supernatural beings had perished in large numbers, transforming it from the third largest base into a nearly extinct small base. Consequently, the development of weapons to eliminate zombies had to come to a halt due to the death of researchers. Chapter 106. Tang Xie awakens. You can receive them. I wish to see no one, Yi Zimo said coldly. Understood, Hua Luoli sighed as he departed. How is it? Pei Yuxue inquired as she approached Hua Luoli. Still the same. I worry that if Xie does not awaken soon, our base leader may lose control and unleash his fury upon Yinyu base, Hua Luoli lamented. A month prior, Yi Zimo and Leng Hanming returned, their bodies icy, and after explaining the reason for Tang Xie's disappearance, they threw themselves into work. Over this month, their volatile tempers and palpable bloodlust had almost become tangible. During the onset of the extreme cold, several bases, unprepared, attempted to morally coerce them into providing aid. Just as Yi Zimo decided to send supernatural beings to drive them away, both he and Leng Hanming took action. In less than 3 minutes, they annihilated over 1,000 intruders without leaving a trace. They were left dumbfounded, having never witnessed such a bloody method of killing. Instead of ending lives swiftly, their approach was to torture adversaries slowly to death. The blood and dismembered remains stained a vast expanse of land before their base, deterring any further provocations from other bases. Yi Zimo and Leng Hanming earned the moniker of the Grim Reaper. One can only hope for another day of persuasion, Pei Yuxue said, feeling a headache coming on. Space. Tang Xie opened her eyes. Her gaze instantly transformed into a silver hue. Master, you are awake. Huzi, Xiaobai, Xiaozong, and Xiaohe, along with Zhang Tsang, sensed her awakening and hurried to her side. Why are you all in the space? Tang Xie inquired, taken aback. We could not rest easy after you fell into slumber, so we returned to the space to guard you. Xiaohei affectionately rubbed against Tang Xia's arm. Indeed. We were quite worried, the others chimed in, pressing closely to Tang Xia. I apologize for causing you concern, Tang Xia said gently, patting them before surveying the room, only to feel a flash of disappointment upon not seeing the person she sought. Are you looking for your brothers? Huzi immediately understood Tang Xia's expression. Have they come in? Tang Xia nodded. They come in every day, especially recently. They stay for the entire day and have become quite fearsome, Xiaozong remarked. Fearsome? Tang Xia was puzzled, unsure of what transpired. The chilling aura and terrifying presence make it so we dare not approach them, Xiaohei described thoughtfully. It must be that my sudden slumber caused them worry. I shall go out and see. Tang Xia descended to the ground. Master, the space upgrades alongside your own. And now you can sense your brother's locations and appear directly beside them. Huzi interrupted Tang Xia's exit. When their master fell into slumber, it was in the realm of zombies. If she were to exit now, it would still be the zombie kingdom, and returning would take at least an hour, given the harsh conditions of the extreme cold. If during this time, Yi Zimo or Leng Hanming entered the space only to find her absent, they feared they might destroy the space without having the chance to explain. How convenient! Tang Xia exclaimed in delight, sensing Yi Zimo and Leng Hanming's locations before vanishing from the space. Is Yuer still not awake? Yi Zimo inquired, furrowing his brow. Not yet, Leng Hanming replied blandly. She clearly stated she would awaken in a month. Yi Zimo's suppressed rage became palpable. In truth, Yi Zimo was not as gentle as he seemed. He possessed a volatile temperament and an affinity for relentless killing. Had he not sought to provide Tang Xia with the best living environment by establishing the Yi family, he would undoubtedly be the most feared assassin, surpassing even Leng Hanming. Mo, calm yourself, Leng Hanming said, fully aware of Yi Zimo's nature, knowing that only in the presence of his sister did he temper his ruthless disposition. I am calm, Yi Zimo retorted coldly. If I were not, I would have already annihilated Yin base. Suddenly, the air distorted, and a figure appeared, lunging toward Yi Zimo. Brother! Tang Xia leaped into Yi Zimo's embrace, leaving both of them momentarily stunned. Brother, I'm back, she exclaimed, rising to rush toward Leng Hanming, who also stood in shock. What's wrong? Do you not miss me? Tang Xia pouted, feigning displeasure. You error, Leng Hanming snapped back to reality, enveloping her in his arms. While Yi Zimo swiftly followed suit, his eyes glistening with emotion. You error, you're awake now and won't leave us again, will you? Yi Zimo asked excitedly. I have awakened, Tang Xia affirmed, holding him tightly. You error, I missed you so much, Yi Zimo declared, looking at her with longing. I missed you both as well. Tang Xia replied, her eyes filled with affection. You error. Yi Zimo could no longer contain his yearning and kissed Tang Xia deeply, perhaps due to their long-awaited reunion. The kiss was especially fervent. Tang Xia's essence enveloped him, and his breath grew heavier. Eventually, he could not help but slip his tongue past her lips, tasting her sweetness. Tang Xia let out a soft moan, ignited by Yi Zimo's sudden passion, which in turn stirred the fervor of the two men in the room. Where? We can no longer wait. Let us return to the space, Yi Zimo declared, lifting Tang Xia as they instantly returned to the space. Cold Hanming followed closely behind. And upon entering the room, Yi Zimo laid Tang Xia upon the bed, tearing away her garments. Brother, Tang Xia exclaimed in exasperation, in this apocalyptic world, each torn piece of clothing means one less. Could they refrain from shredding her clothes every time? You error. We long for you. Leng Hanming tenderly kissed her. The following day. Ouch. Tang Xia felt as if she might fall apart. Does it hurt? Yi Zimo asked as he massaged her wrists, while Leng Hanming attended to her lower back. How could you even ask? Tang Xia shot them a glare, feeling utterly exhausted, her legs weak, waist aching, and arms sore, not wishing to move at all. This experience was worse than the first time. What frustrated her further was that these two had exhausted her for an entire afternoon and night, yet appeared as lively as ever, showing no signs of fatigue. All right. We will take it easier next time, Yi Zimo said, brushing his lips against hers. Where have you leveled up? Leng Hanming asked, gazing at her. I am now at level 15, Tang Xia nodded. It seems we must strive harder. Yi Zimo resolved to put in even greater effort. Chapter 107. Entering the underworld, by the way. Tomorrow I shall venture to gather the Niluan Jihua, which means I will be away for several days. Tang Xia glanced at Yi Zimo and Leng Hanming. We will accompany you, Leng Hanming immediately declared. You cannot go. As a cultivator, I have returned defying the heavens. The realm of Niluan poses no challenge for me, but for you, it is likely that you would not even survive the barrier. Tang Xia shook her head. How many days will you be gone? Yazimo expressed his reluctance to part from his sister. At the earliest, 5 days, at worst, over 10, Tong Xie estimated. So long. Ling Haming frowned. Do you think the Niluanji Hua is so easily found? Be patient. Once you have cultivated, we shall never be separated again. And by then, I hope you do not grow weary of each other, Tong Xie smiled. We will never tire of your company, Yazimo said gently. That evening, Yazimo and Ling Hanming prepared a sumptuous feast, and the three of them dined pleasantly with Xuan Fu and the others. Early the next morning, Tong Xie departed while the others were still asleep. Ma, we must trust you, Ling Hanming reassured, patting Yazimo, who stood by the window. I understand. This brief separation will herald a beautiful beginning, Yazimo nodded. Regardless of Tong Xie's choices, they would stand unconditionally by her side, even if it meant facing the entire world as adversaries. Master, are you truly entering? Xiaobai inquired anxiously as Tong Xie arrived at an ancient mountain, watching her open the entrance to the underworld. Do not worry, this is not my first foray into the underworld. Though my power has waned, I will emerge alive. Tong Xie reassured, patting Xiaobai. You should return to the space. This place is unsuitable for you. Very well, Xiaobai complied, retreating to the space as Tong Xie stepped through the entrance to the underworld. Upon entering, the scenery transformed into a crimson landscape, the stench of blood permeating the air. The rivers on either side surged with blood, floating myriad dismembered limbs, organs, hands, feet, and heads. Advancing further, 7 towering mountains of desiccated bones loomed, with torrents of blood cascading over the shattered bodies, which remained in grotesque positions, frozen in agonizing moments of their demise, a sight both horrific and chilling. Why must every realm's underworld be so sanguinary? Can't they learn from civilized worlds? Tong Xie glanced at the mountains of bones before continuing onward. Why have you, a mere soul, come here? As Tong Xie crossed the Niha Bridge and reached the 3 live stone, she encountered a massive python coiled upon 2 withered trees, its blood red. Icy eyes fixed upon her. I seek to enter the realm of Niluan to procure the Niluanji Hua, Tong Xie replied coolly. You, a diminutive human, dare to traverse the underworld alone. For your first offense, I shall allow you to return whence you came. Otherwise, do not blame me for my lack of courtesy. The giant python glared at Tong Xie with arrogance. Then let us see if you possess the capability, Tong Xie retorted, swiftly unleashing a vine that ensnared the massive serpent. Hiss! The giant python roared with fury. It had dwelled in the underworld for thousands of years, and no one had dared to challenge its dignity. Its stout and agile body lunged towards Tong Xie with alarming speed, but she conjured the scythe of death in her right hand, striking decisively at the python. Bang! The python's scales, as hard as armor, deflected the scythe of death effortlessly. Quite resilient, Tong Xie noted with excitement, as black flames enveloped the scythe, instilling a sense of danger in the giant python. The flames of hell's judgment? How can you possess such power? The giant python stared at Tong Xie in astonishment. How could an ordinary human wield the most terrifying flames of the underworld? I had wondered why my fire abilities felt peculiar. It turns out they originate from the depths of hell, Tong Xie acknowledged. Little serpent, since you recognize the power of these flames, you should yield. Lest I show you no mercy, Tong Xie assessed it. Over 1 billion years of cultivation, impressive indeed. The serpent's skin could yield several sets of protective armor, while its flesh is too aged and infused with demonic energy to consume. However, its blood is indeed a valuable asset for crafting talisman ink, Tong Xie concluded. Ever since returning, she had attempted to draw various high-level talismans, but ordinary cinnabar could not withstand her spiritual energy. Now, encountering a formidable demon, she contemplated capturing it alive, but then considered that the serpent's massive size could cause havoc in her space, frightening the cute creatures of the forest, which would be undesirable. You court death. The giant python seethed, lashing its tail and entwining it with the vine in Tong Xie's grasp. Tong Xie chuckled coldly, yanking the vine to drag the giant python closer, swinging it effortlessly as if it were a small child tugging at a vine adorned with pink peach blossoms, easily tossing the massive serpent from left to right. Bang! 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 The giant python was hurled to the ground repeatedly, soon becoming disoriented, unable to discern direction, with no opportunity to retaliate. With a crack, a barely audible sound of bones fracturing echoed, and the giant serpent collapsed, forming an arch, unable to resist any longer. It is said that your kind has vertebrae that connect end to end, if one can lift the tail and shake it vigorously or yank it hard. The vertebrae can become dislocated, rendering you immobile except for your tongue. I had never believed it, always seeking an opportunity to test it, yet here I am, proven right. Tang Xie remarked with amusement at the giant python. This segment is purely fictional. In reality, if one encounters a snake, it is wise to flee as far as possible, regardless of its venomous status, for a bite would certainly be painful. The giant python gazed at her in terror, whether true or false. What girl would not flee upon seeing its 100-meter-long, 20-meter-wide frame? Not only did she contemplate using it for experimentation, but she also managed to move it effortlessly. She could not possibly be human, could she? Is this blood best collected while alive or after death? Tang Xie brandished the scythe of death, gesturing ominously in front of the now fearful serpent. Spare me, a sudden male voice interrupted, and a man cloaked in black robes materialized before Tang Xie with remarkable swiftness. No longer interested in the spectacle? Tang Xie inquired, knowing that her every move had been observed by the leaders of the underworld since her arrival. The king of the underworld sends word. Since your goal is the Niluan Jihua, simply follow this path to reach the realm of Niluan. Please do not trouble the other beings of the underworld, and the underworld shall not interfere with your acquisition of the Niluan Jihua, the man stated calmly. Very well. Please convey my gratitude to the king of the underworld. Tang Xie replied with a hint of regret as she cast one last glance at the giant python before turning to leave. Chapter 108. Do you even deserve it? What were you thinking, provoking her unnecessarily? The man sighed, glancing at the giant python. With a wave, the injured serpent returned to its normal state. Thank you, my lord. The giant python humbly coiled back onto the tree as the man vanished without a trace. It appears this is the realm of Niluan. Tang Xie observed the white barrier ahead and walked through without hesitation. Roar. As Tang Xie entered, countless pairs of blood-red eyes appeared around her. Blood demon wolves. Tang Xie sneered at the group of blood-red wolves, each the size of a fox. The blood demon wolves are merely ordinary beasts of the underworld, significantly smaller than regular wolves with limited attack power. Even novice cultivators in the celestial realm could handle a few, but these wolves are pack hunters, ranging from a handful to over 100, led by a single blood demon wolf in their pursuit. A solitary Shui Mo Lang is not particularly difficult to handle, yet when confronted with dozens of them, their collective ferocity multiplies exponentially. Although diminutive in stature, the Shui Mo Langs exhibit remarkable agility and cunning. Akin to wolves in the human realm, often coordinating their efforts to hunt, it is an opportune moment for some practice. Tang Xie, unarmed, boldly charges into the throng of Shui Mo Langs, using her fists to convey her formidable presence. With resounding thuds, the Shui Mo Langs are either sent flying or kicked aside, leaving a chorus of anguished cries from the wounded creatures. A piercing howl reverberates in the air as all the Shui Mo Langs lift their heads in unison. A particularly striking white Shui Mo Lang appears before Tang Xie, its eyes igniting with fury upon witnessing its fallen comrades. It lunges at her with ferocity, aiming to sever her throat with its gaping maw. Unfazed, Tang Xie dashes forward like a bolt of lightning, seizing the white beast by its throat before it can react. How dare a mere Shui Mo Lang act so brazenly in my presence, she declares, her eyes glinting with cold determination. With a swift tightening of her grip, the white creature thrashes desperately, unable to emit a sound. With a decisive crack, the white Shui Mo Lang is reduced to mere remnants, dissipating into a wisp of dark energy, leaving the remaining Shui Mo Langs in stunned silence as Tang Xie strides past them without a glance. As she ventures deeper, a thunderous roar pierces the air, sending tremors through her very being. The sound reverberates, creating waves that rustle the foliage around her. It appears this magical beast possesses some intrigue. Filled with excitement, Tang Xie races toward the source of the sound. Approaching the heart of the forest, she witnesses trees being crushed into the earth, powerful gusts swirling around her, lifting the dried leaves into a chaotic dance. An overwhelming stench of blood permeates the air, and a colossal figure, reminiscent of a mountain, stands between heaven and earth, unleashing a series of deafening roars. Before her stands an enormous hell dragon tiger beast, its sharp limbs resembling blades, and 5 long tails thrashing violently in the air. Anything that comes into contact with its sweeping tails, be it trees or rocks, is instantly reduced to dust. Its body is cloaked in black scales, adorned with faint white totems, and its tiger-like head is crowned with crimson eyes filled with wrath. The holy-level dragon tiger beast, while somewhat formidable, remains within my control. Tang Xie brandishes her death scythe, summoning Xiaohe, and gathers the surrounding flora to launch an assault on the dragon tiger beast. Hellfire, she commands, swinging her scythe as flames erupt from the heavens, raining down upon the beast, while Xiaohe and the nearby plants unleash their most potent attacks. The massive dragon tiger beast, struck by such a relentless barrage, emits a thunderous roar. Tang Xie leaps into the fray, targeting the beast's eyes with a series of black flames, while Xiao Hei's sturdy vines entangle the creature's 5 massive tails. In an instant, the terrifying dragon tiger beast finds its movements constrained by their coordinated onslaught. Though its tough hide and scales absorb much of the impact, it cannot withstand the sheer intensity of the bombardment. The initial fury transforms into overwhelming pain, compelling the beast to turn and flee in the opposite direction of Tang Xie. What a bore! I expected it to keep me entertained longer, she muses, continuing her journey deeper. After 2 skirmishes, no beast dares to challenge Tang Xie. Even the holy level dragon tiger beast has retreated. With their inferior ranks, charging at her would be tantamount to offering their lives. No, their beastly heads. On a platter. She ascends further, and nearly an hour passes without any change in the surroundings. Huh. A trapped immortal formation? What a jest. I am no immortal, and such tricks hold no sway over me. Tang Xie produces a stack of talismans crafted for this world and, without hesitation, begins to cast them. With a resounding boom, the talismans emit a silver light, coalescing into a thunderstorm formation. Countless bolts of lightning crash down, obliterating the surrounding trees and flora, leaving nothing but barren ground. Yet, 100 meters ahead, a patch of ordinary morning glories sways in the wind. Niluanjihua, I have found you. Tang Xie strides toward the blossoms, undeterred by the treasures, rare herbs, books, and handsome figures that materialize around her, all tempting her to abandon her quest. Unwavering, she approaches the morning glories. Where are you going? A gentle voice calls, catching Tang Xie off guard. Yuer, come here. Another soothing voice follows, and Yi Zimu and Lung Haining materialize before her, extending their hands with deep affection in their eyes. How dare you presume to borrow my brother's visage? Tang Xie's eyes blaze with murderous intent as she brandishes her death scythe, without hesitation. Ice Dragon Break. A colossal dragon, imbued with chilling energy, bursts forth, hurtling toward Yi Zimu and Lung Haining. In an instant, everything within reach, exotic beasts, treasures, and even the 2 impostors, are encased in ice. Though I am incensed by your appropriation of my brother's likeness, I cannot bring myself to shatter you into powder. Instead, remain frozen in your beautiful forms. Tang Xie remarks with a smile, turning away. As she nears the Niluanjihua, a fierce whirlwind whips through the area, forcing even Tang Xie to struggle to maintain her footing. The further she advances, the stronger the tempest becomes, pressing down with immense force that suppresses her abilities, reducing her from a level 15 to a mere level 10. Ugh! Unable to withstand the pressure, Tang Xie drops to one knee, drenched in sweat. This is precisely why she had waited until reaching level 15 before returning. Within this tempest, any power or cultivation below level 10 becomes nullified. Upon entering, regardless of strength, one is reduced by 5 levels. A thunderous rumble heralds dark clouds gathering overhead, a multitude of lightning bolts crackling ominously above her, signaling that should she take another step forward, she would be struck without mercy. I used to strike others. Now, the tables have turned, and it is my turn to be struck. Gritting her teeth, Tang Xie rises, summoning her resolve as she sprints forward, her speed augmented by her abilities and enhanced boots, leaving only a fleeting shadow in her wake. With a resounding crash, lightning descends, precisely targeting her swift form. In an instant, countless charred marks mar her body. Yet she shows no sign of slowing down, continuing her frantic dash. With the 12th bolt of lightning, the ground beneath her erupts into a gaping crater. Gasping, bloodied, and barely recognizable, Tang Xie finally succumbs to her injuries, collapsing to the ground. Lightning incessantly struck down upon the fallen Tang Xie. Both Yazimo and Ling Hanming suddenly felt a sharp pain in their hearts. Base leader? Are you alright? Hua Luoli, noticing Yazimo's pallid complexion, inquired with concern. Brother-in-law, is your heart condition acting up? Xuanyu asked anxiously, having accompanied Yazimo in his studies. Xuanyu had long been captivated by his formidable prowess and had taken to privately addressing him as brother-in-law. Yuer, something has happened to Yuer. In an instant, Yazimo clutched his chest and vanished. Xiaoming, what is happening? Xuanfu and Xuanmu immediately turned their worried gazes towards Ling Hanming, fearing that this young man might have a heart condition. This cannot be. We must find something beneficial for his heart. It is Yuer. Something must have happened to her. Ling Hanming quickly realized and disappeared. What? Xuanfu and Xuanmu, who were contemplating what ingredients might be good for the heart, were momentarily taken aback by his words. Once they comprehended, they both sprang up and raced towards the office building. Emo, did you sense it too? Ling Hanming asked, looking at Yazimo. who had appeared in the space simultaneously. You sensed it too? Upon seeing Ling Hanming, Yazimo became more certain that Tang Xie was indeed in peril. The two immediately began calling for Huzi. I am here. Huzi's voice echoed as a door materialized in the void. The two promptly entered and found Huzi and Xiaobai seated before a large screen, anxiously watching as countless bolts of lightning bombarded a specific location. That must be where Yue is, right? Both Yazimo and Ling Hanming rushed to the screen, their eyes wide with shock, while Huzi nodded gravely. Can you send us there? We must rescue her. Ling Hanming's eyes were bloodshot as he gazed at Huzi, imagining the pain his delicate sister must be enduring amidst such immense lightning. There is no way. Once we enter the underworld, our connection to our master will be severed. Huzi shook its head, expressing that had it been possible, it would have already forcibly pulled Tang Xie into the space. The underworld is not something one can enter casually. Even in the realm of cultivation, only those within the golden core stage can access it. As for Tang Xie, she is merely a fledgling in the foundational stage of cultivation. To come here is akin to courting death. Even if I believe she can survive, she will not emerge unscathed. As everyone anxiously watched the screen, a faint white light flickered, revealing a figure rising. Yue, Yazimo, and Ling Hanming clenched their fists. Their eyes filled with anguish and tears as they fixated on the figure, now charred and unrecognizable. Tang Xie, summoning the last remnants of her celestial energy, staggered forward, finally escaping the storm zone. Exhausted, she collapsed to the ground to rest momentarily before standing up and pressing on. Suddenly, the surrounding gales transformed into razor-sharp blades directed at her. With little energy left to gather more celestial power, she shielded her vital points. But countless wind blades inflicted numerous wounds upon her, blood flowing profusely as she marched on, seemingly impervious to the pain. Though she was thrown off course multiple times by the tempest, Tang Xie relentlessly persevered. Yue, keep going. Yazimo and Ling Hanming wept as they watched the screen. Since they could not intervene, they could only offer their support, believing their sister would return alive. Should she falter, they vowed to follow her into the afterlife. Tang Xie gritted her teeth, assuring herself that she was nearly there. At last, she reached the reversal wheel flower, unhesitatingly plucking a handful and cradling it in her arms. The moment she did, the gales ceased and the pressure lifted. With her powers restored to level 15, Tang Xie turned and sprinted back the way she came, hastening to escape the underworld, her last vestiges of will propelling her into the space. Yue. In the instant Tang Xie materialized in the space, Yazimo and Ling Hanming rushed out. Brother, big brother? Tang Xie, upon seeing the two, froze momentarily before collapsing. Yue. Ling Hanming caught the charred Tang Xie in his arms, trembling and unsure how to proceed, terrified of causing her further pain. I obtained the reversal wheel flower. Tang Xie tightly handed the flower to Yazimo. Quickly, place it in the ice jade box. A black box emanating an aura of frost appeared before Huzi, and Yazimo immediately placed the flower inside. Finally able to breathe a sigh of relief, Tang Xie's vision faded to black as she succumbed to unconsciousness. Yue? Both Ling Hanming and Yazimo exclaimed in alarm. Chapter 110. Healing. Administer the medicinal pill to her. Huzi presented a golden-veined pill to Ling Hanming, who crushed it in his mouth and leaned down to kiss Tang Xie, administering the medicine. Huzi was momentarily taken aback, wanting to inform him that the pill dissolved instantly and did not require such effort. Carry the master and follow me. Huzi dashed towards Tang Xie's room. Ling Hanming carefully lifted Tang Xie, swiftly following Huzi alongside Yazimo into her chamber, where a large tub filled with spirit spring water awaited them. Place the master in the tub and remove all her clothing, Huzi instructed before stepping out of the room. Ling Hanming gingerly set Tang Xie down, staring at the clothing that had become entangled with her wounds, uncertain of how to proceed. In the past, when injured on missions, he had torn off clothes clinging to his wounds without hesitation, yet now his hands trembled and his heart raced, unsure of how to act. I will do it. Yazimo stretched out his hands, suppressing his trembling as he swiftly tore the clothing from Tang Xie's body, tossing it aside. Watching the blood seep from her wounds and stain the spirit spring water crimson, both Yazimo and Ling Hanming's eyes reddened once more. Place 3 herbs in every hour. Huzi re-entered with a basket of herbs in its paws, and Ling Hanming promptly took it. The two kept vigil by Tang Xie's side, administering 3 herbs every hour, remaining awake for 2 days and nights without rest. During this time, Huzi suggested they take a break, but the two remained steadfast, silently guarding Tang Xie. Eventually, Huzi relented, allowing them to continue. It was not until the 3rd morning that Tang Xie's wounds had fully healed, her complexion returning to its soft, pale hue. Only then did Huzi permit them to carry her out, dress her properly, and lay her on the bed. How is she? Ye Zimo asked anxiously as he watched Huzi examine Tang Xie. She is fine. Her organs have recovered. However, the scars from the lightning will require some time to heal. Huzi noted the numerous blackened streaks on Tang Xie's arms, regretting the damage done to her delicate skin. Fortunately, her face had been well protected, otherwise, she might not be presentable for some time. When will Yue awaken? Ling Hanming gently caressed Tang Xie's face, his heart heavy with concern. She should regain consciousness by tonight. Huzi replied, glancing at the two. You both should tidy yourselves up. You have grown unkempt, looking rather disheveled. Now that the master is out of danger, I can watch over her. Ye Zimo and Ling Hanming exchanged glances, both feeling a sense of shame at their unkempt appearance. If Yue awoke to see them like this, she would surely disapprove. After Huzi's repeated assurances, they returned to their respective rooms to freshen up. By around 5 in the evening, Tang Xie opened her eyes. Yue. Both Ye Zimo and Ling Hanming rushed to her side the moment they saw her awaken. Brother, big brother? Tang Xie hoarsely called out. And Ye Zimo immediately poured a cup of spiritual spring water, gently lifting her to feed her slowly. Brother, no more. Tang Xie shook her head. Ye Zimo promptly set the cup down. Is there anywhere else that hurts? Long Hanming, sitting on the other side, held her hand with concern. I'm fine now. Don't worry, Tang Xie replied with a smile. By the way, how come you are both here? You still dare to say that? It was so dangerous. You went off alone, and if we hadn't sensed something was wrong, would you have kept your injuries a secret? Ye Zimo's expression darkened for the first time, glaring at Tang Xie in anger. Tang Xie lowered her head sheepishly, as that was indeed her original plan. Did you really think that way? Lung Hanming, initially wanting Ye Zimo to ease up, felt the weight of Tang Xie's guilt, and his expression also darkened. Ye Zimo looked at her with anger, yet hesitated to scold her, fearing that his wrath might frighten her. I'm sorry, Tang Xie said, tears streaming down her cheeks. Upon seeing her tears, both Ye Zimo and Lung Hanming cast aside their anger. Why do you have to be so harsh with her? Lung Hanming exclaimed, pulling the tearful Tang Xie into an embrace while glaring at Ye Zimo. Don't cry. Brother shouldn't he have been so fierce? Please stop crying, all right? Ye Zimo panicked, wiping Tang Xie's tears frantically. Brother, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to worry you. I just didn't want you to be concerned. The more she wiped, the more tears flowed. We understand, we know. We were just too worried. I'm sorry for being harsh. Ye Zimo gently lifted her from Lung Hanming's arms, his eyes filled with self-reproach. He knew she kept silent to avoid worrying them, and that she had just woken up. Still weak, how could he not control his temper? Brother, please don't be angry. I want to do it again. Tang Xie looked at them with tear-streaked eyes. We're not angry, we're just worried. Be good. Stop crying, it breaks our hearts. Ye Zimo softly patted Tang Xie's back. Meanwhile, Huzi, who was anxiously watching, noticed that none of them paid attention to its presence. After scattering some dog food, it quietly floated out of the room, exasperated by the display of their affection. What do you want to eat? I'll make it for you, Lung Hanming gently asked, now that Tang Xie had stopped crying. I love everything you make, brother. She smiled. All right, I'll go cook. Look at you. You look so pale, you need to nourish yourself. After gently caressing her face, Lung Hanming stood up to leave. Sleep a bit longer. When Ming is done, we'll call you, okay? Ye Zimo laid Tang Xie back down on the bed. Will you stay with me, brother? She tugged at Ye Zimo's sleeve. I'll stay with you, he replied, holding her hand tightly and lying beside her, carefully enveloping her in his embrace. Soon, Tang Xie fell into a deep slumber. Thus, Tang Xie lay in the space for 3 full days. Even meals were alternately fed to her by Ye Zimo and Lung Hanming. When she needed to use the restroom, they had to carry her to the bathroom door, leaving Tang Xie utterly speechless. She admitted her injuries were somewhat serious, but insisted she was not incapacitated. On the day Tang Xie awoke, Lung Hanming left the space to report her safety. A week later, Tang Xie arrived at the alchemy room, ready to begin refining the reverse will pill. Will refining pills be dangerous? Ye Zimo and Lung Hanming anxiously inquired from outside the alchemy room. Don't worry, the Master's pill refining skills are impeccable, Huzi remarked, exasperated by their excessive concern since Tang Xie's injury. As time passed, 3 hours later, a rich medicinal fragrance wafted from the room, invigorating their spirits. Success! Huzi joyfully announced as Tang Xie opened the door and stepped out. Are you alright? Ye Zimo and Lung Hanming rushed to her side, inspecting her from head to toe. I'm fine. Tang Xie shook her head and handed them 2 pills. Go to the spiritual spring and consume these to fully absorb their effects. Then I will teach you about cultivation. Alright. Ye Zimo and Lung Hanming took the pills and sat by the spiritual spring, consuming them. The reverse wheel pill dissolved instantly, a fragrant warmth enveloping their bodies. Let us head out after greeting Mom and Dad. Then we can go to the zombie kingdom, Tang Xie said, picking up Huzi. Master, are you truly planning to let them all cultivate? Huzi asked, gazing at her. Why not? Tang Xie resolutely decided to lead her family in cultivation. But what if the heavenly Tao forbids it? 1 or 2 might be overlooked, but if there are many, it may not be allowed. Huzi expressed its concerns. Let it be. If they oppose me, then I shall defy the heavens, Tang Xie replied nonchalantly. Xie, Xuanfu and Xuanmu rushed to her side, abandoning their tasks upon seeing her return. We heard from Xiao Mo that you were severely injured. Are you all right now? Xuanmu, tears in her eyes, anxiously pulled Tang Xie close. Mom, Dad, I'm fine now. Rest assured, I've completely recovered, Tang Xie reassured them with a smile. That is good to hear. Xuanfu gently patted her back. Where are Xiao Mo and Xiao Ming? Xuanmu noticed she was alone. They're still in the space. I've finished refining the pills. They're absorbing the medicinal power. I came out to inform you before heading to the zombie kingdom to find my elder brother and second brother, Tang Xie explained, revealing the pills. It's too dangerous for you to go alone. Perhaps wait for Xiao Mo and Xiao Ming to come out first, Xuanmu said worriedly. Yes. The apocalypse is chaotic. It's too risky for a girl to venture out alone, Xuanfu concurred. Dad, Mom, do you not trust my abilities? If I encounter trouble, you should be more concerned about them, not me. Besides, I have Xiao Bai and the others with me, Tang Xie reassured them. All right. But once you reach your elder brother's place, make sure to send us news. Xuanmu still felt uneasy. Sure, Tang Xie nodded, took out an off-road vehicle, and sped off towards the zombie kingdom. Who is that? Driving so fast? Just as Xuanyu returned, Tang Xie's vehicle zoomed past. Dad, Mom, what are you doing outside? Xuanyu was taken aback upon seeing his parents. Your sister just drove off to her elder brother's place, Xuanfu replied. Is my sister all right? Xuanyu asked, surprised. Yes. She is fine. Wait, Dad, did you say who just drove off to elder brother's place? Wasn't she with Night Brother and the others? Xuanyu suddenly realized. How can someone so young be so hard of hearing? Look at your sister and then at yourself. What a difference. Xuanmu complained, turning to go inside. Xiao Mo and the others are absorbing the medicinal power in your sister's space. So, your sister drove off alone, Xuanfu explained. That car was really driven by my sister? Xuanyu asked in shock. Yes, Xuanfu confirmed. Oh no, that perfectly good car is going to be ruined. Xuanyu sighed dramatically. What car is going to be ruined? Xuanfu asked, bewildered. Yi Dage and the others have told me that my sister's driving skills are akin to a person soaring ahead while their soul lags behind. And she has a penchant for wrecking vehicles. Xianyu elucidated this notion. Swiftly, Xianfu grasped the situation. It cannot merely be described as fast. It must be characterized as flying, Xianyu insisted, shaking her finger. Then why aren't you hastening to find a car to chase after your sister? If she drives that fast, what if something goes awry? Xianfu exclaimed, slapping Xianyu on the head in frustration. Ouch! Xianyu cradled her head and rubbed it. Fear not, father. According to Yi Dage, my sister's driving is quite proficient. Aside from wrecking cars and subjecting passengers to some discomfort, there is little to worry about. Xianyu reassured. Moreover, with her skills, I doubt I could catch up even if I tried. Very well, Xianfu conceded, turning to enter the house, resolute to keep a closer watch on his daughter and prevent her from driving in the future. Zombies Kingdom boss, this is the Zombies Kingdom. A group of men stood outside the Zombies Kingdom, gazing at the city enveloped by mandala flowers. Humph, just a bunch of corpses. What kind of kingdom is this? Ridiculous. Let us go in and show these zombies that the dead belong in the realm of the dead, the leading man, Li Chong, disdainfully declared. They were the elite team of the Yin Yu base, with Li Chong being an 8th level ability user, self-proclaimed as the strongest in the world, dismissing even the legendary 13th level Tang Shiyu, 14th level Yi Zmo, and Lung Hanming. Indeed, let them witness the prowess of our elite team. The others echoed in unison. Meanwhile, Tang Shiyu, who had just arrived and was hiding in the shadows to observe their intentions, smirked coldly and commanded Xiao He to allow them passage, thinking that if they wished to court death, she would not stand in their way. Let us move. Li Chong led his team forward. Captain, I heard from others that these mandala flowers form a barrier. Without the Zombie King's permission, one cannot enter. One team member cautioned. That's merely a reflection of their incompetence. Such pathetic flowers cannot hinder us. Li Chong scoffed as they approached the entrance to the Zombies Kingdom, where the mandala flowers parted to clear their path. Do you see? This is the mark of a strong individual, Li Chong proclaimed proudly, while his teammates admired him with deep respect. Thus, the team, brimming with bravado, advanced towards the zombies' kingdom, unaware that this would be their final adventure. Xian Jing and Xian Shui, stationed at the headquarters of the zombies' kingdom, felt the movement of the mandala flowers at the entrance. Shiyu is here, Xian Shui exclaimed. Immediately rising, with Xian Jing following suit, delighted to see their sister after several months of separation. Chapter 112. The self-proclaimed strongest team, a horde of zombies. Catching the scent of Li Chong and his men, charged towards them with fervor. Captain, it's a horde of zombies, ranging from level 3 to 4, a team member exclaimed. Fear overtaking him as he ducked behind Li Chong. What are you afraid of? We are all at least level 5 ability users. Why fear them? Li Chong brandished his sword and charged into the swarm, encouraging his teammates, who soon followed suit without fear. These were high-level zombies. Should they defeat them and obtain their cores, they would gain wealth and fame. If they could slay the zombie king, they would be legends. And everyone would bow to them in reverence, with countless women vying for their attention. Yet, they were oblivious to the fact that dreams are often beautiful while reality can be harsh. As waves of zombies continued to assault them, their arms grew weary, and their abilities waned. Why are the lower-level zombies so agitated? Xian Jing frowned at the distant growls of the low-level zombies. Someone must have entered our zombies' kingdom. Xian Shui speculated. Could it be that Yue intentionally let them in? Xian Jing pondered. Brother, you're as astute as ever. Tang Shiyu descended from the sky on her white tiger, landing before them. With a thud, dust billowed into the air. Cough, cough. Sister, must you always make such a grand entrance? The dust is rather unpleasant. Xian Jing and Xian Shui retreated from the cloud of dust. I intended to drive, but the road was too congested, so I had to switch to Xiaobai, Tang Shiyu explained innocently as she hopped down. So, what did those unfortunate souls do to provoke you into bringing them to the zombies' kingdom? Xian Shui took Tang Shiyu's hand, leading her inside, while Xian Jing followed closely behind. I didn't intentionally bring them to the zombies' kingdom. They were already on their way here. I merely facilitated their journey. Tang Shiyu shrugged, recounting the events. Well done, Xian Shui praised, giving a thumbs up. Since they seek death, we need not concern ourselves with them, Xian Jing said, taking a seat behind his desk to observe her. Why did you come alone? Those two clingy ones let you venture so far by yourself? In Beise, her brothers would cling to her every moment, and their absence felt peculiar. The reverse wool pill has been successfully refined, and they are absorbing its medicinal power in the space, so they didn't accompany me. Tang Shiyu handed them 2 pills. No wonder those two aren't by your side, Xian Shui nodded. You should consume the pills as well, and then sit down to absorb the medicinal power. Tang Shiyu instructed. All right, we'll leave the zombies' kingdom in your capable hands. Xian Shui and Xian Jing moved aside. Understood, Tang Shiyu nodded, as Xian Shui and Xian Jing ingested the pills and settled down to absorb the power. The barrier of the zombies' kingdom also served as a spirit-gathering array. Though not as potent as the energy in her space, it was still 100-fold stronger than elsewhere. Captain, my abilities are running low, one team member exclaimed anxiously as more zombies surged towards them. My abilities are depleting too, echoed others. Retreat, head for the exit, quickly. Li Chong urged, as everyone attempted to flee towards the entrance, but the horde of zombies had already encircled them, forcing them to fight desperately. Suddenly, a 7th-level zombie lunged at Li Chong when he was at his weakest. One team member closest to Li Chong was shoved aside, leaving the others in shock. What are you staring at? The weak should not live. Li Chong glared at his teammates, who averted their gazes but kept their distance, mimicking him by shoving their comrades forward to fend off the zombies. Hurry, the exit is just ahead. One team member shouted excitedly, and they fought harder against the zombies while moving swiftly toward the door. Alas, the mandala flowers had already ensnared the entrance with their vines, and by the time they reached it, it was too late. No, the elite team members hacked at the obstructing mandala flowers with all their might. Yet no matter their efforts, the flowers remained unyielding, while the zombie horde closed in, overwhelming them. Ultimately, the elite team members met their fates, either torn apart by the zombies or transformed into one of them. Tang Shiyu harbored no surprise at the demise of the elite team. Even from the outside, she had discerned their true nature and commanded the disposal of the transformed Li Chong and several 6th-level ability users among them. While she did not interfere with the transformations among the zombies, she would not allow any subpar zombies to remain in the zombies' kingdom. The next day, as Tang Shiyu opened her eyes, she was met with a breathless kiss. Where did you sleep well? Yi Zmo inquired hoarsely upon releasing her lips. Not too bad. Tang Xia gently wrapped her arms around Yi Zimo's neck, observing him and the cold and aloof Lung Han Ming lying on the other side. Have you absorbed the effects of the medicine? Yes, I finished absorbing it last night. Seeing you sleeping so soundly, I didn't want to wake you, Lung Hanming replied, his kisses trailing down her ear. Meanwhile, Yi Zimo attempted to pull down Tang Xie's nightgown, but was halted by her. Brother, don't. Tang Xie recalled the gruesome scars on her body inflicted by lightning and wished to shield them from view. What's wrong? Are your wounds still painful? Yi Zimo asked, momentarily taken aback. It doesn't hurt anymore. I just don't want it today, Tang Xie evasively responded. Oh, is my sister disdaining her brother? Yi Zimo narrowed his eyes dangerously, easily detecting her falsehood. Sister, it is best to be honest, Lung Hanming whispered in her ear. No, I just hope the scars will disappear in a couple of days. Tang Xie confessed candidly. Despite her brother's indulgence, she knew that inciting their anger would lead to dire consequences for her. In the past, when they maintained a typical sibling relationship, their wrath would fall upon innocent bystanders, such as the employees of the Yi family, who were mercilessly chastised for the slightest errors during their moments of anger. Once the staff understood the cause, whenever her brothers displayed irritation at work, the secretary would promptly contact her, pleading for her to mediate with their leaders. All she had to do was accompany them for a meal at the company, and their tempers would dissipate. Now, as their relationship transcended mere sibling ties, she realized that she would be the one to suffer, not them. They would not harm her physically, but they would find numerous ways to torment her in bed. Thus it was prudent to be wise and forthright. Chapter 113. The Laser Cannon Strikes Full. Yi Zimo sighed at Tang Xie's reasoning, pulling her into a comforting embrace. Those scars were born for us. How could we ever disdain you? As long as it is you, Yue, we shall love you no matter what. Yue. Saying such things will wound our hearts, Lung Hanming added, pressing his lips against hers, while Yi Zimo resolutely tore open her clothing, kissing the unsightly scars. The following day, awake? Did you sleep well? Lung Hanming asked tenderly, kissing her lips as soon as he saw her eyes flutter open. What do you think? Tang Xie shot him a weary glare, recalling how late they allowed her to sleep the previous night. Drink some water first. Imo should have prepared the food by now. After helping her sit up, Lung Hanming poured a cup of water and brought it to her lips. Once she finished, he presented her with a set of clothes. Do you want to dress yourself, or shall I assist you? I'll dress myself, Tang Xie replied spiritedly, shaking off her earlier drowsiness. How could she allow him to dress her in her current state? Brother, this is a cultivation method suitable for you. I will teach you both shortly, she said, handing over 2 books of cultivation techniques to Yi Zimo and Lung Hanming. All right, they replied as they accepted the texts. Not long after the 3 finished their meal, Xian Shui and Xian Jing completed their absorption of the medicine's effects. Tang Xie retrieved 2 books of cultivation methods suitable for them and began instructing the 4 in their practice. To her surprise, the 4 displayed unparalleled talent, successfully channeling energy into their bodies in just 1 day, thus embarking on their official journey of cultivation in this resource-scarce world. Ghost cultivation is indeed remarkable. If we can lead all zombies into this practice, I believe humanity will no longer oppose them, Xian Jing remarked, pausing to exhale a breath of stale air. I share your sentiment. I will ask you later if we can produce more of the reverse will pill, so that the zombies can be on par with ordinary humans. Xian Shui nodded in agreement. You make it sound simple, but do you realize how perilous it was for Yue to gather the materials for the reverse wheel pill? The reverse wheel flowers? She nearly lost her life. Yi Zimo and Lung Hanming returned from a stroll with Tang Xie just in time to overhear their conversation. In a fit of rage, he flung open the door and glared at them coldly. What? Xian Jing and Xian Shui were startled by Yi Zimo's words. Look at these scars. They were incurred for our sake, Lung Hanming exclaimed, pulling back Tang Xie's sleeve to reveal her fair arms marred with numerous scars from lightning strikes, leaving Xian Shui and Xian Jing in shock as they grasped her hand. How could you be hurt so badly? Xian Jing asked, concern etched on his face. It's nothing. Tang Xie withdrew her hand gently. Do you think the reverse will flower is so easy to gather? It grows in the underworld. Yue bravely ventured there alone to collect it, sustaining severe injuries and falling into a coma for several days before awakening. Yi Zimo seethed with anger, understanding that they spoke so lightly of it due to their ignorance of the dangers involved. Brother, I'm fine, Tang Xie reassured him, patting his arm to calm him down. I apologize, sister, we were unaware. Had we known it was so dangerous, we would never have let you take such risks for us, Xian Shui said, guilt flooding his expression. You are my brothers, we are family. If the roles were reversed, I believe you would do the same for me. Tang Xie smiled and shook her head. Suddenly, a series of knocks sounded at the door. Come in, Xian Jing called. A man entered, reporting, Zombie King. We have received news from other locations that the Yin Yu base, in alliance with several other bases, is preparing to attack our zombie kingdom. Their reasoning is that several high-level ability users from their bases have gone missing within our territory, and they suspect we are responsible for their deaths. How can they be certain their people disappeared after coming to our zombie kingdom? Xianjing frowned. It is said that a small team sent one member who noticed the mandala flowers and wisely chose to retreat, fearing something was amiss. He heard the screams of that team, the man replied. So it concerns that previous team, Tang Xie sneered. What is the response from the other bases? It is reported that 90% of the bases are participating, with only the E province, N province, and U province bases abstaining, the man continued. Additionally, the Yin Yu base possesses the ability to develop a laser cannon capable of exterminating the zombie king with a single shot. Such audacity. I would like to see whether their laser cannon proves superior or if my barrier prevails, Tang Xie retorted coldly. It is said that the Yin Yu base conducted experiments, gathering all level 2 to 6 zombies together and firing the laser cannon, resulting in no survivors, the man disclosed. Even mutated plants and animals were not spared. When will they arrive? Tang Xie inquired coolly. They have already set out and should arrive in a couple of days. Understood. Xianjing nodded as the man took his leave. What shall we do? Xian Shui turned to the others. Their laser cannon is likely akin to an atomic bomb. Do not worry, it will not pose a significant threat, Tang Xie replied with a calm smile. Once they exhaust their laser cannon, we shall open the barrier and welcome them in. As for whether they can leave, that will depend on their own abilities. That would essentially spell their annihilation. Xian Shui chuckled, a glint of bloodlust flickering in his eyes. They brought this upon themselves. Why not maintain peace? Instead, they chose to seek their own demise. Tang Xie stated icily. Is this truly the zombie kingdom? The various bases gazed upon the zombie kingdom encircled by mandala flowers. Indeed, this is it, Wang Yuyan affirmed. Then let us bring forth your laser cannon and put it to the test, the leader of J base chuckled. As soon as my laser cannon fires, they will be reduced to dust. Why do you not intend to extract their crystal cores to enhance your abilities? Wang Yuyan glanced at them. With the zombie king present, do you think we can afford to rely on your laser cannon? It would be akin to delivering our heads on a platter. Moreover, look at that mandala flower. We might not even be able to breach its defenses. The commander of Base P sneered. Very well. Wang Yuyan gritted her teeth and nodded, gesturing for several ability users to carry the cannon forward. Prepare, Wang Yuyan commanded, as the ability users aimed the cannon at the zombie kingdom. Fire. With her command, the ability users pulled the triggers. Boom. Chapter 114. Coexistence of Humans and Zombies. Boom. Countless lasers surged towards the zombie kingdom, only to meet a barrier midair that dissipated the beams. What is happening? The crowd stood stunned. There is a barrier, Wang Yuyan frowned. Welcome to the zombie kingdom. Suddenly, a melodious female voice echoed, and as the light from the laser cannon faded, Tang Xie appeared atop a white tiger, flanked by Yi Zimo, Leng Hanming, and Xianjing and Xian Shui, who rode black mutated wolves beside her. Roar. The white tiger let out a tremendous roar that reverberated towards the various bases. Ah! The crowd screamed, covering their ears, as those of lower levels succumbed, blood streaming from their orifices. Tang Xie, do you intend to make an enemy of all humanity? Once the roar of the white tiger faded, Wang Yuyan, pale-faced, stared at Tang Xie. And what of it? I possess that capability, and if you had not sought trouble, we could have coexisted peacefully, you on your solitary path and I on mine. Yet, you insist on creating conflict, Tang Xie retorted with a cold smile. In that case, do not blame us for being impolite. Wang Yuyan waved her hand again, and the ability users squeezed the triggers once more, unleashing a fierce laser. Boom. The laser collided with the barrier again, and Wang Yuyan's eyes widened in shock. Continue the assault until the barrier is destroyed, Wang Yuyan commanded. Boom, boom, boom. Regardless of how many times the laser cannon fired, the barrier remained unyielding. Commander, we have depleted all laser energy, several ability users reported after futile attempts to fire again. Huh. It seems the invention from Yin Yu base is not as formidable as you believed, Tang Xie scoffed. She had already discerned the structure inside the cannon at the moment of their first shot, and had made minor modifications using her metal abilities. How is that possible? Wang Yuyan was taken aback. Rest assured, there is nothing wrong. I merely made a few modifications to your laser cannon. Tang Xie snapped her fingers. Boom. The laser cannons exploded from behind, obliterating the bodies of the ability users carrying them, and the force continued to wreak havoc upon those standing behind them. Quite impressive. Tang Xie nodded in satisfaction, while Wang Yuyan and her companions were left in stunned disbelief. Now it is our turn to counterattack, Tang Xie said with a smile. Open the barrier, she commanded, and all the mandala flowers gradually retreated. Roar. Countless zombies ranging from level 3 to 7 appeared before the onlookers. No, no, no. The crowd gasped in horror, shaking their heads. Tang Xia, we are all humans. You cannot treat us this way. Wang Yuyan's complexion turned ashen with fear. Do not worry. We will not engage with zombies above level 8. As for the rest, if you can escape, we will not pursue you. Tang Xia waved her hand. And instantly, all the zombies surged eagerly towards Wang Yuyan and her group. Ah! The crowd screamed as they fled. Those slower being captured and torn apart, or having their flesh devoured piece by piece. In an instant, the area outside the zombie kingdom had transformed into a hellscape. Blood splattering everywhere, with severed limbs strewn across the ground. No, no, Tang Xia, I am your classmate. You cannot do this to me. Wang Yuyan, in a panic, ran towards Tang Xia, but was pounced upon by a level 7 zombie. Did you not consider that we were classmates when you dared to provoke the zombie kingdom? Tang Xia asked with a cold smile, and as her words fell, the level 7 zombie bit through Wang Yuyan's neck. This assault on the zombie kingdom resulted in the complete annihilation of the 14,000 who had come, serving as a stark warning to the remaining bases that dared not lay claim to the zombie kingdom. After resolving these matters, Tang Xia embarked on a journey of cultivation with her family. Xian Fu and Xian Mu, lacking spiritual roots, were fated to be estranged from cultivation. However, the elixirs in Tang Xia's possession would suffice to ensure they lived for a millennium or more. Xian Yu, possessing a top-tier wind spiritual root, unfortunately, lacked comprehension and steadiness, resulting in slow cultivation. Often lectured by Xian Mu, she sighed, lamenting that when giving birth to Xian Jing and Xian Shui, she had gifted them her intellect. But when birthing Xian Yu, only her brain's outer layer remained. In the 7th year of the apocalypse, Tang Xia developed numerous edible mutated plants and animals. Under her leadership, the Ziyuhan base maintained its position as the foremost base, unshakable. Eventually, other bases sought collaboration, signing treaties of non-aggression with the zombie kingdom, and began learning various planting and breeding techniques from Tang Xia. As for the zombie kingdom, under the guidance of Xian Shui and Xian Jing, the number of ordinary zombies dwindled, with most evolving into zombie kings. After signing contracts with Tang Xia, they gradually began interacting with regular humans. Observing that the zombie kings did not attack humans and exhibited remarkable intelligence, the populace began to accept cooperation with zombies, ultimately leading to a new realm where humans and zombies coexisted. This conclusion was beyond what I had imagined when I became a zombie. Xian Shui stood on the terrace, watching the interactions between the zombie kingdom and the people below, smiling. What were you thinking back then? Xian Jing inquired, handing him a glass of red wine. Death. The moment I transformed into a zombie, upon regaining my memories, I resolved that after finding my sister, I would assist humanity in exterminating zombies until none remained, saving a bullet for myself to end my own life. Xian Shui accepted the wine. My thoughts were similar when I became a zombie. Without my sister, we would likely have fulfilled our own predictions, waiting until the zombies were eradicated to take our own lives. Or perhaps waiting for weapons like the laser cannon to eliminate us along with all zombies, Xian Jing chuckled. Nowadays, the coexistence of humans and zombies is something many never envisioned. Xian Shui agreed. Chapter 115, the conclusion. Xia. A girl ran towards Tang Xia, who was tending to mutated plants in the field. Xiao Feng, slow down, Tang Xia called out with a smile. Xia, the base commander is calling for you at the seaside, claiming there are unusual movements, Xiao Feng said anxiously. We have always coexisted peacefully with marine creatures. How could there suddenly be anomalies? Tang Xia responded, puzzled. I don't know. It seems a returning ability user reported it, and the commander went there with some people. Xiao Feng shook her head. All right, I will head there immediately. Tang Xia nodded and teleported towards the seaside. Upon her arrival, the beach was eerily quiet, devoid of any presence. Where is everyone? Tang Xia walked forward in confusion when suddenly, a wall of flames emerged around her, slowly moving. The unexpected transformation put her on high alert, but she relaxed as she sensed the familiar power within. With calm curiosity, she watched as the flames gradually converged, transforming into countless sparks that were as beautiful as fireworks. You error, marry us, came the voice of Yi Zimo and Lung Hanming, who appeared before her, holding a stunning bouquet of roses. The flames had formed a large heart shape, with Tang Xia standing on one side, and Yi Zimo and Lung Hanming on the other, gazing at her tenderly. You err, will you? They asked, stepping forward and kneeling on one knee, each holding a diamond ring. Suddenly, a multitude of red petals fell from the sky, and several beautiful mermaids leaped from the sea, their melodious voices filling the air. A gigantic whale then surfaced, shimmering with silver light, leaping into the air as countless glimmering points slowly descended, creating a scene that was both dreamlike and exquisite. I do, Tang Xia said, extending her hands. Yi Zimo and Lung Hanming, filled with excitement, placed the rings on her ring finger and rose. Once you are bound to us, there is no turning back, Yi Zimo said gently. A lifetime without regrets, Tang Xia proclaimed, rushing forward to embrace the two. Wow, congratulations, exclaimed Xian Fu and Xian Mu, along with the Xian family brothers, who clapped enthusiastically. Xian Fu captured the trio's joyful moment with a Polaroid camera. With a loud bang, countless fireworks lit up the sky as everyone happily leaned together, savoring the serene moment. A month later, Mr. Yi Zimo, Mr. Lung Hanming, do you take Miss Tang Xia as your wife, pledging to love her through sickness and health, poverty and wealth, never depart? Hua Luoli, acting as the officiant, smiled at the newlyweds standing in the hall. I do, they replied in unison. Miss Tang Xia, do you take Mr. Yi Zimo and Mr. Lung Hanming as your husbands, pledging to love them through sickness and health, poverty and wealth, never depart? Hua Luoli turned to Tang Xia. I do, she joyfully exclaimed. They exchanged rings, with Tang Xia placing rings on Yi Zimo and Lung Hanming's fingers, who then simultaneously adorned her finger with a ring. They sealed their vows with a kiss, and Hua Luoli excitedly declared the ceremony complete, prompting an enthusiastic round of applause from the guests. Just as everyone was celebrating, Tang Xia suddenly became ill. Yuo? Yi Zimo and Lung Hanming exclaimed, rushing to support her. What is happening? The Xian family hurried over, creating a flurry of activity in the hall. Congratulations, base leader and young master Long. Miss has news, a medical staff member announced cheerfully after examining Tang Xia. News. Xian Fu and Xian Mu were astonished, then overjoyed. We are going to be grandparents, they exclaimed happily. We will be uncles. The three Xian brothers shouted in excitement. We are going to be fathers? Yi Zimo and Lung Hanming realized, rushing to Tang Xia's side. Yue, we are going to be fathers, they exclaimed, gripping her hands in excitement. Yes, I will be a mother, Tang Xia replied exuberantly, unconsciously caressing her belly. Although she was not fond of children, the knowledge that she was carrying the children of her two brothers filled her heart with joy and happiness. Over the next 3 months, Tang Xia experienced morning sickness from dawn till dusk, unable to eat, which made Yi Zimo and Lung Hanming feel so distressed that they wished they could kick the child in her belly. They decided that regardless of whose child it was, they would ensure Tang Xia would not bear another child in the future. As Tang Xia's belly grew day by day, Yi Zimo delegated his work to Xian Yu and Hua Luoli, choosing to stay home with Lung Hanming to accompany Tang Xia until the day of delivery. Ah, it hurts. Ah, it hurts. Tang Xia cried out in pain in the delivery room, while Yi Zimo and Lung Hanming paced anxiously outside. Stop pacing, this is how childbirth is, Xian Mu comforted. No more children, absolutely no more, Yi Zimo exclaimed, pounding the wall in worry, while Lung Hanming, drenched in sweat, revealed his own tension without uttering a word. Suddenly, the sound of a baby crying pierced the air, followed shortly by another. She has given birth. The crowd gathered excitedly at the delivery room door. Congratulations, base leader and young master Long. Miss has given birth to twins, a nurse announced, emerging with one child in each arm. Where's Yue? How is she? Yi Zimo and Lung Hanming asked simultaneously, not even glancing at the children. Mother and children are safe, the nurse replied with a smile. Yi Zimo and Lung Hanming immediately pushed past her into the delivery room, leaving the nurse unsure of what to do with the babies. Give them to us. Xian Fu and Xian Mu took the two children. Afterward, based on their appearances, it was clear that the eldest, a boy, was Yi Zimo's child, named Tang Zijin, while the younger, a girl, was Lung Hanming's child, named Tang Nianqiu, forming the happiest family of 5 in the post-apocalyptic world.